бочком. Не я тебе слушав, скрушив, сама ти зов'яла. Як я тебе тричі сватала, ти отказала.
Дівчина гордовита, гордуєш ти мною, буде твоє гордування все перед тобою, буде твоя коса руса в мене під ногою, буде свистіть на гаєчках понад головою.
Летять галочки у три рядочки, летять галочки у три рядочки, летять галочки у три рядочки, летять галочки. Галочки, отре рядочки, летять галочки, отре рядочки.
Стелися низенько, а ти, милий чорнобривий, присунься близенько. Зелений барвіночку, стелися ще нижче, а ти, милий чорнобривий, присунься ще вище. Ой ти, мамко, моя мамко, мамко моя мила, не дай мене за такого, моя чорнобрива, а дай мене за такого, що не має вуса, він на мене заморгає, а я засміюся. спустися ще нижче, а ти, милий чорнобривий, присунься ще ближче, ще ближче, ще ближче, ще ближче, ще.
Небі зорка зозяла, з ким ти, дівочко, гуляла, з тобою, хлопчику, з тобою, я з ясною зорею, под колючею грошею, з тобою, хлопчику, душею.
Под зеленою вербою, з тобою, хлопчику, їй-богу, ой, на горі церковка, я на церковці маковка, я на маковці ластовка, я сидить вона високо. Ой, ти весна, ти красна, що ти нам понесла, я понесла три користі радості, одна користь пастушок, друга користь ротая, третя користь бортничок. Ой, ти весна, ти красна, що ти нам понесла, я понесла три користі радості, одна користь пастушок, друга користь ротая, третя користь бортничок.
замочки не ходили. Косив я, та ви косили солов'я, соловейся тут дьо, камнареєчка. Роман Косика скав'яжуть Катерину, загризла, Христофоли напова, а на воду витяга. Ой, мамо, люблю гриця, гриць на конику, гриця, шапка до лиця. Люблю гриця, молодця, люблю гриця, молодця, люблю гриця, молодця, люблю гриця. Та косив батько, косив я, та ви косили чорта з два, соловейся до тьо, камнареєчка. Рома Косика скав'яжуть Катерина, загриба, Христофоли напова, а на воду витяга. Ой, мамо, люблю гриця, гриць на конику, гриця, шапка до лиця. Люблю гриця, молодця, люблю гриця, молодця, люблю гриця, молодця, люблю гриця. Люблю гриця, гриць на конику, вертиться, гриця, шапка до лиця. Люблю гриця, молодця, ой, мамо, люблю гриця, гриць на конику, вертиться, гриця, шапка до лиця. Люблю гриця, молодця, люблю гриця, молодця, люблю гриця, люблю гриця, молодця, люблю гриця.
Дякую.
The filth in your mouth never ceases to amaze me. You're spitting it out over beautiful ideas. I'm coming around and I'm feeling kinda queasy. You're bringing me down and you need to disappear. Count your blessings, my friend. You're not leaving that easy. Count your blessings again, else they'll see you out. Count your blessings, my friend. You're
After 2 days of group play, we have finally made it to playoffs, and I cannot be more excited to see what's going to happen now that Group A and Group B are finally going to go head-to-head. But it's time to welcome our first team to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Geek Fam. When they take to the stage, this is the team that we have to keep in mind was able to do so many different things inside of a group that looked relatively stratified. When they take the stage right now, the question is, when they go against Group B, are they going to show their dominance? We're going to find out very soon because Geek Fam, they looked great in their group, but Group B seemed to be the group of death. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Geek Fam.
Welcome on stage, Team Geek Fan. Ho ho!
They're definitely going to have a difficult opponent here now in the first matchup of playoffs. The next team looked phenomenal in their group, the best squad in their group thus far. Folks, it's Gambit.
Welcome on stage, Gambit Esports. Ho ho, good boys.
No. It's the first time that we get to see these two groups go head-to-head. Group play is over. The playoffs start right now.
Fucking Glühwein I've ever had.
All right, the playoffs start right now. That is true. We are here for the Book of El Minor, and we've had 2 days of 5 best of 3s, and we made it through them. That was this morning when the final series concluded. It was a thrilling series as well, a couple long games in there. And yeah, we have 2 more days. This day, we're going to have 4 best of 3s, and it's playoff time. And I'm here with Kyle and Cap, and I'm going to stop talking so that they can talk and so that I can enjoy my hot juice with cinnamon and orange. I don't know. It's just smelling like winter in a cup. I don't know what I'm drinking.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle. Keep talking.
Go ahead, Kyle.
It's a
your
traditional Ukrainian holiday drink. I am kind of upset that I'm sitting in the middle. Because I know what happened to this chair yesterday. But I got here late, and Cap's on the end, and usually I sit there, and he refused to move.
He was literally sitting there yesterday. Sorry, not yesterday. He was literally sitting there this morning.
Yeah, he got here half an hour before I did and just camped his ass right there.
Oh, I mean like 3
Wonder why.
a.m. this morning.
All of these chairs have been violated, but at least this one was violated by myself, and that is where I will remain.
God, we need more of this.
I mean, we're going to need a constant supply of this juice. This is great. So, yeah, what we have today, we have a schedule for you guys just to make sure that you know kind of the outline of where we're headed. We're going to start real easy, real simple. Nobody's getting eliminated just yet because it's a fresh start. These teams made it to the playoffs. It is the start of another double elimination bracket with 4 teams. We're going to kick it off with Geek Fam and Gambit as we just saw them take the stage. And then after that, we're having RNG versus Nigma, which for me is going to be my blockbuster of the day, followed by the winners of both matches against each other. And then we do end the day with an elimination, with having the losers face each other.
It is interesting to your point about Nigma. It's wild that they're sort of following the same script as they did at this previous TI, where they kind of look terrible.
Yes.
They're bad in the groups, not so great in the bracket, but slowly improved, like eking out wins, win after win. Suddenly they're in the finals, right? That was a hell of a series yesterday against Pandas. I should have gone to sleep. I stayed up watching, partly due to the antics of those on screen, but mostly because of some excellent Dota. And hats off to the Pandas. It's a shame that this is like a 14 playoff because it really feels like 5 teams deserved to be here, but obviously
but
not the case.
Yeah, it's not a participation trophy. You do have to be better than the others, and we're seeing 4 teams here, Cap. We kind of only care about one of them because there's only one champion. right?
That
is that how that works?
true. Damn. Yeah, we have 4 teams in the playoffs, and it's not very clear who's going to actually be there at the end, right? Because I think at the start of this tournament, a lot of people would have pointed to Nigma. I think a fair amount of people would have pointed to RNG and Gambit. I think we're the 2 like second and third place teams. But right now, it's actually RNG who look way out far ahead of everybody else. And it's a question of whether or not these 3 other teams can catch up.
I still feel like RNG are the best team in this tournament. However, I think that yesterday, we just had so much Dota. 5 BO3s, I think it was like 12 games total. Shout out as well to the production, the whole WePlay staff for their 20 hours.
Thank you for that.
What?
I do want to give a shout out to the production, and we are able to get to know production a little better. It's actually amazing if you walk around backstage and knowing that everybody here has spent, what, months preparing for this, and it's all coming together, and everything is like falling into place. And then I get to come in after all these people had put in so much work, right? And then I get to come in and sit here with my hot drink, just chilling and talking about Dota. Thank you for making that possible. And also, of course, thank you for the sponsors for making that possible, because without them, we would probably not be here. As Ray Gaming, the odds maker, and of course, Gosu AI is the 2 main ones here. And yeah, I can't wait for this playoffs. Gambit and GeekFam, I feel like both have 2 very different stories as well going into this. Gambit is the favorite, I think. Kyle, wouldn't you say?
I think so. I think the storyline for me is the mid players. You've got GPK versus Carl, 2 young guns that look like they could be the next gen. I think in order to compete at an actual tier 1 level, it's important that your mid player can't just, because there's so many different ways you can be exploited as a mid player. If your play style is limited and you're stuck on, you know, the DK Viper Razor as an example, or maybe you're the type that can only play, you know, game winners like Storm, OD, Lina, TA. In addition, if you get bodied in lane, that's just not going to work when you go up against someone like Sumail. And I think these 2 guys both have a possibility to break into like the top 10, top 5. And that to me is the story of the series.
I think it's definitely both of these teams need to play around their mid laners a lot more, right? It's like I think both of these players have had a strong enough trajectory in this tournament that you should be trusting them. You should be enabling them as much as possible, which is really interesting when you have that kind of setup because in the draft it's particularly important to be able to get the edge out. I think that like some teams, for example, I think RNG has been getting a free pass every single time. Setsu has free matchups every single time, and he uses those matchups and plays really well, and then he goes on to dominate the game. Here in this matchup, I feel like both teams are going to be trying to set up their mid for success, and you know, their safe laners, they're going to give them some room to breathe, and then their off laners, they're just going to leave out there. I think both Shachlo and Kuku are fairly sacrificial.
And in addition, we got to look at the series from yesterday because I feel like, I mean, again, shout out to Pandas. They played with like so much heart, and it's like a bit of a cliche, but you could see, you know, after game 2, like I played with Moon for quite some time, both in Han and Dota, and he like popped off after they got that second game win, that crazy comeback into the throne push, and I'm like, hell yeah! Like it makes me feel. It's like the one thing that always makes me miss playing is just the feel of getting on stage, getting a big win, because it always is better when it looks like you're going to lose and you pull it out anyway. But anyway, point is, I had a point.
So was watching that loss really bad for you because it looked like they were going to win and then lost?
It just, I think I fell asleep, honestly, before I actually got to see the end. There was, oh, you know what it was?
Fair.
It was the second time Bryle died top. I was just,
oh, yeah.
It sucked. But that's the disruptor factor. Point I was going to bring up was the concepts that we saw from those 6 games Pandas played, I think will be incredibly important to the playoff stage. 1, minion heroes. Furion, we saw.
Minion heroes. What
Lycan,
title.
Lone Druid. We will see these heroes in the playoffs. In addition, the importance of a hero like Disruptor with like an uncounterable disable. Yules into the ultimate. There's no counterplay. You're just stuck.
Would you call them minion heroes, Cap?
Maybe if I wanted to talk about the minion heroes attacking turrets and trying to end the. I don't know what their ancient is called.
Shoot, I'm thinking.
Damn.
Nexus.
Nexus. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I had to think real hard on that one.
They're creep heroes then. Is that better for you?
No, it's totally fine.
I'm just call them.
Honestly, Kyle, I'm giving you shit because I know people on the internet are going to give you shit for it. So
Get out ahead of it.
I have to be their voice. You know, I have to be their champion.
Yeah. That was like yesterday when I punched
was
Rich
a
in the
good point,
face.
though.
Huh?
It was a good point.
You punched Rich in the face,
I did.
Well, it seemed like you walked away with a lot more damage than he did.
Oh, he hit me when I wasn't looking.
Really? Because it was right in your eyes, so I'm pretty sure. How could you not see that coming?
I had something in it, and I was looking up to fix my non-existent contact.
All right.
I have to say that another difference I see between these teams in performance-wise is Vampire. He's been doing all right this tournament, but from previous performances, I've been expecting just a little bit more star power performances, and I feel like Zephyr's had some rough games, man. Both those 4 positions, I feel like, have yet to find their place in this.
Yeah, Vampire, I thought he did excellent in that last game. There was an insane, we were theory crafting before, they one-shot the Storm with a toss back into SF Requiem.
Yeah, that was sick.
That had to have been, we believe, there's like 1 or 2 frames where that works. Because you can't Yules into SF combo for 100% damage, but we toss, since you're technically like floating in the air above him, it sort of functions the same way as the old Yules. And he just literally killed him 100-0. That was wild. And there were a lot of tossbacks, at least 5 or 6 that guaranteed kills in team fights. And I want to see him on a killer. I think that's the big hallmark of this patch right now. I want to see at least 1 support and 1 core with playmaking ability.
Yeah, I think that's where like maybe these supports have had a little bit of trouble functioning is that I think there are very limited supports that are actually really good right now and can be playmakers, right? So get your hands on those disruptors, on those tinies, on, well, when it puts in Kuro's hand, apparently Lich. Good lord. Nigma make Lich look like the most broken support of the whole patch.
But they also do a really good job of complementing it with Ember Spirit, right? Where you also have a ton of damage. You have the double shield effect. And later in the game, Lich suffers a bit because, especially when you go Kerbal, I think he was going 4-4-0. Just max damage output. But when you have an Ember that can just spam chains and a bunch of stuns in front of you, it's not really a big deal.
Also, a slower lineup that forces the enemy to move into you. Kuro took advantage of that. They were always clumped up for these insane chain frosts.
They've got a Fury, and pushing your mid tower is like 6 minutes into the game. Like, you kind of have to come and run at this Lich. He doesn't.
Did you like that, by the way? Did you like the total change of pace that Nigma took from like the entire tournament, and then that game 3, it was like, we're literally just gonna run at you nonstop.
I was in deep sleep, so you gotta have to fill me in here.
No worries. It's pretty much, it was a hell of a second game, went almost 60 minutes. Pandas took it with this like crazy, they wiped 3 and then just went to throne, like Drow SF'd the base. Then game 3, Nigma came out and picked this Fury in for mind control and just crushed through the tier 1s by 12 minutes. I think that's one, just something that in the meta is going to be very strong moving forwards. I think that we've watched these games, you know, you can come online as these heroes with these neutral items. At like 15 minutes, you have 3 cores, 6 slotted, it feels like. When you have the ability as well to change the pace, this is something that I really tried to do as well, and I know other captains have tried. When you get to a game 3, either pushing it to the late game or trying to be incredibly up-tempo and aggressive can really throw the other team off their rhythm, because they find you get lulled into the safety of the series, right? It's been a couple of games decided in the mid-game. They both 1 and 2 in that series, went over 45 minutes. Now suddenly they're at your tier 3. It's 12.
So you
hit him
guys
with a flip mode.
Yeah.
You guys are basically saying that the series that we had yesterday, and so far all the games that Fighting Pandas have been in, you know, they've basically took every series to 3 games. There's more to learn from their series, and therefore Gambit has learned more as well, going up against GeekFam. GeekFam came out of a group that only had 2-0s, like nothing else, just 2-0 results.
That's why I don't think there's much to glean from it. It was just straight up the better team won. We were talking about, I think you were probably asleep for that conversation too, but that was the first time in a long time we've seen a group that had a clear-cut 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't much to, you can't read too much into the games themselves, because it's like, well, the better team won.
Yeah. I've had great series here at the start of the day, guys.
Yeah.
I can't wait for maybe a little bit more even Dota, because I do think GeekFam has a lot to show for, and I do also think that Gambit is a very entertaining team to watch, no matter who they play.
For me, I don't know what it is, but I feel like Gambit have like I think they're further along in their progression as a team. I feel like they've figured things out a little bit more than GeekFam. And I look at GeekFam, comparing them to, like, it's a bit unfair, but comparing them to another team within their region, TNC, like, you know, I just don't see that, like, really just this really clean running machine that is going through, right? GeekFam, they have a lot of bumps.
You know, it's funny, they're like TNC getting a coach, like a year ago. Remember when Heen joined? Suddenly there was all this discipline. Now
they got Dubu, even though, you know, I know he's playing position 5, but he used to be coach. So
Dubu is as close to chaotic neutral as a captain in Dota.
I couldn't imagine Dubu as a coach, you know? I can barely see him as a captain, just with my interactions with him in pubs and stuff. I love Dubu, just to be clear. This is not a
doesn't feel like it here.
No, Dubu's hilarious, man. I love him, but I just can't see him with that sort of authority. I guess
it's just because he's a bit of a clown, right?
Yeah.
It's the same as a lot of those old MVP Phoenix guys, right? Febby. You know, popular Dota streamer, routinely dresses up as a duck and gets naked, whatever floats your boat. And then, of course, March, who now with TNC, also a nice, fun-loving guy, famous for the roar of power back at TI6. And both openers, pretty meta. You've got the minion hero in the Chen to combine with the Mag. One of the better heroes in this patch for sure, because you're such a powerful core, and in addition you provide bonus damage to your carry, and you've got BKB Piercing Disable. The Omni Knight kind of counteracts that if you can get the GA off in response to the RP, and Disruptor, probably the best 4 in this tournament so far.
Do you have a favorite for this opening? Because I like GeekFam's more.
I like Gambit's, actually. I think you can mold around it a bit better, and I think that Mag is just too strong of a hero right now. I like the Omni, but I think it's easier to deal with. You can deal with what an Omni does a lot easier than I think you can with the Mag.
Gambit runs it with GPK, right? Not Dream? Think they run 2 Mag?
Correct. I believe both can play it, though.
The part of the reason I like GeekFams, even though it is kind of, it's definitely telegraphing what they're going to be doing here, but I think it fits right into the meta. And this combination of catch and team fight. I think it's just so incredibly good to ball up and feel stronger than the enemy and force them to always be backing down from you, and then Disruptor is the best catch in the game to counteract that.
It looks great as well. It's straight out, literally the opening from the second game Panda's played, if I'm not mistaken. At least one of them from yesterday, maybe two, where you combine Disruptor, who effectively, I love it as a 5-player because you solve all your catch issues. Suddenly you don't have to worry about having reach. You know you're going to be able to find kills. You have someone that can do stuff on the map. Combine it with arguably the best defensive offlaner in Dota right now, which is where the meta's pushed us towards.
Now you could just focus on, little things like, okay, make sure you just have enough wave clear. That's kind of easy to get. And then just focus on your damage types and how you're going to be getting that. And just focusing on like one-to-one counters.
And another thing, it's this concept of irreplaceable mechanics. It was part of what I felt made Alchemist so dominant this past TI. I'm farming, you're farming, I get way more gold, right? Disruptor is the only hero in Dota right now that has a way to itemize to absolutely destroy your hero. I lift you up in the air with Yules, I pop my Ag's ultimate and kinetic field. It's now almost 5 seconds. You are stuck. You are Doom taking mega damage. Obviously, Doom is the same, but it's a little different in execution.
However, he's not doing too well in terms of the rankings. He's very frequently picked. Like out of the 23 games he's been picked 10 games, he's only won 4 of those, though.
Where's sample size?
Sample size. Still not very successful.
What if he had
As
won one
opposed to
extra
some
game?
other heroes, but
What other heroes are you talking about, G?
Well, Lich has been picked 13 times with a 62% win rate. Rubik has been picked 12 times with 67% win rate. It's been great. Also, I'm out of juice. I wouldn't mind another one.
Jesus. Sheemer went from, it's so great that this production, they work these long hours, they set everything up for success, but where's my goddamn juice? Jesus. I'm working with a bunch of amateurs. No. Sheemer the diva coming out.
Yeah, that's the next video. If we made one on Brian's true persona, just wait till you guys at home get a peek of what it's like to actually see Sheev behind the scenes.
Capitalist has been asked if you don't want orange. Do you want orange juice?
I would love some.
You were the one that shouted. It's like someone woke up. I'm like, what is going on? Orange juice would be great.
Okay, I can't believe this.
Or water in your pants. Apparently.
Tree Protector was still out there in the pool. I was looking through these heroes and I was like, look at all our bans. I was like, she mentioned Rubik. I saw, the Morphling, the Gambit had been 1-2ing for a lot of this tournament. Yeah, okay, all makes sense. And I'm like, where the hell is Tree Protector? There's like a lot of heroes that were left out in the pool. Drow Ranger, Tree, we now have Tiny being picked up.
Venge. Oh, no, he's banned. Never mind.
I really like Trient against mag drafts because you know that there's going to be BKBs becoming a problem, and you're one of the only mechanics left in Dota that can help deal with it. And I love this pick too. Razor immediately, because you expect a melee hero to be combined with this Magnus, so it denies heroes like Troll. I think that Slark's banned too, I would imagine. Otherwise, this is an instant Slark pick. Otherwise, you might be looking at something like a PA, but that's just so squishy. It's not ideal in the patch. You want something that's a little more durable.
That's again where I think the advantage of solidifying we have better team fight. We also have this catch where just going 1-to-1 laning counters, because it feels like this meta is all about just like securing your lanes. If you can get a laning phase advantage, it's massive, and then just as long as you have better team fight than them, then the game is like 90% over.
This is such an insane Venomancer game for Gambit. I would love a Veno offlane right now. It's super underpicked. Same concept, same reason I'm confident with Fury and with Lone Druid, with Lycan. The wards represent so much threat, and Tree might delay your push, but that just means Venomancer has more time to fortify and slowly just spread the creep, spread the poison until you're stuck inside your base. Also, very good against Omni Knight, both in the laning phase and throughout the game. Same with Razor, because you have a really tough time running through the wards. You need that BKB early on.
I guess I would feel more confident about it if I knew 100% what my matchup was for the lane.
True.
Right? Just because if they run mid, then you can put Razor mid, and then you could get a different matchup. I also don't think Razor probably suffers too terribly just from the laning phase of Veno, but I'm not sure.
Well, I don't think you want him against Razor necessarily, but you put him against Omni, he just hits him in the face. It's very difficult to lane there. Although, I will say that's one hero. We discussed this yesterday, but one of the big changes to the way teams have to approach lanes, if you look back to, there were two huge issues, or disruptions in the past. One was the addition of the backpack. So all of a sudden you could have extra regen. And the other was when people realized they could just die to tower and jungle creeps. Remember when they had to change the death timer on nukes? Because you'd have heroes like Skywrath that have very efficient ways of turning mana into damage.
Yeah, and then just die and then come back full.
That mechanic was removed. Now you have to go deny the tower. It's not quite as common. However, because we all now have personal couriers, these heroes like Disruptor that can just buy 2 mangoes, send them out, immediately pop them, and keep spamming Q, it's very easy. I don't care as a support. If I trade my gold for mana regen for the enemy carry's gold on health regen, it's a win for me, and it ensures my core gets ahead. So, point is...
Couriers are so slow, though.
Yes, but...
Still better than having no courier at all.
Yeah.
I get it.
And it makes heroes like Venno that have to like try and whittle you down weaker because every single hero can just buy more regen, and you ignore the fact that you're being harassed.
I'm not ever super convinced about the Brewmaster versus Omni matchup just because I don't think Brewmaster is as strong as Omni just all around. Maybe you counter Guardian Angel, but he still has Purification and you still kind of suck. So, but for this, at least you have like Tornado against the Razor. I think that is like a really good isolating factor. So I feel like it does do a little bit better here than
AoE Dispel for the Root as well. It's quite nice. We saw that. Who played it? Was it Gambit that played it yesterday? Because their brew looked great.
Yeah, Gambit did play it yesterday against Fighting Pants.
Is Bloodseeker in the pool? Because that's another possibility here for Gambit. That would actually be the exact same.
Do you like that against Razor Omni?
Yeah, I love it against Razor. Rupture the Razor.
Okay, but you're still laning phase matchup against Omni, and then it's still like a tempo lead sort of deal where...
Sure, but so what you're looking for right now, you need a core that synergizes with Mag, that can buy Manta because you're playing against Tree, that doesn't get super screwed by Razor. And that's a different story. That's excellent. It's a Tree counter. It applies a ton of tempo, and it makes more sense with the Brew now because you have super powerful mid-game team fight. Now with the Lesh behind it, you're going to be able to take towers as well.
Yeah, I like this concept a lot. It mixes up your damage as well against the Omni Knight. All around, I think this is a really cool idea. Like, there's not as much to fear about your laning phase anymore. Plus, I actually thought that maybe... I think Phantom Lancer was actually banned in that last phase.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's
I had that somewhere in my head. You know, Phantom Lancer could be a pickup, and
if I'm Geek Fam now, I think that you've got the late game. So just try and make sure that you can get there. Pick something that scales at least as well or better than a Leshrac, and be able to fight them head on. However, that's difficult. Whenever you plan on team fighting a Brewmaster, it's kind of like this old idea. We haven't seen Brew in the meta for so long, but you lost games when you did that. You don't want to. I still remember overhearing, it was like some one of the EG videos or something where they had picked on dying and like all these heroes to fight into a Brew, and they were very upset with each other that they tried it.
We forgot that one was still in the pool.
So do we switch the... How do you want to do this? Do you want the Magnus to match up against the Omni and then have the Lesh mid against the Razor mid?
I think
they'll still have GPK play the Mag. I played Mag yesterday. It was really good.
Yeah, I think you go Mag mid. I think Mag's a lot better against Razor than you think.
Okay.
Because you have such high base damage and a Quelling Blade, you're not really going to get threatened too hard, and you can always skewer out of every of the link. So, and also worst case, Razor gets out at levels, then you just go to jungle.
Well, for the fact that this is a Drone Ranger lineup, one of the things I always look to is I hate it when they double down on jungle heroes. Omni Knight and Razor, because they're such strong laners, they don't need to jungle, right?
Yeah.
So the Drone Ranger is going to be able to recover if pressure becomes too much of a problem. It's got a Tree Protector, so...
I just hate it with the Razor. I like Drow. You need a better auto right-clicker. Like, Drow is not a complement to Razor like it is for Storm or
Why not?
Quap
You really like attack
or
speed
Lina.
on Razor.
Yeah, but
The new Razor,
your
when you
damage
just
takes
suck
so
onto
long.
somebody?
Yeah, but your damage takes so much longer to come up is the problem. You don't start high damage, and in this game specifically, against this lineup, you're going to need to itemize for survivability first. I favor Gambit here. I also think that the Chen factor is huge when both Geek Fam supports have a really difficult time dealing with creeps.
Okay. I have a hard time looking away from Geek Fam's like opening 3, and then it's still Draw Ranger lineup. Both those things for me have been looking really successful. This lineup could actually lose some early game and still like do the high ground defense because it's a Drow lineup. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for them to win in multiple points of the game. I feel like they can win out on lanes. I think they can roll over mid game potentially with this strong a team fight. I just can't argue against the track record of those heroes.
The Drow has to have a great laning phase, because otherwise you're going to lose all your tier 1s, and the map for Geek Fam's going to shrink, and all of a sudden there's a Brew. That's always a threat with alt top. Tiny Hunting is his excess vampires. Best hero. Like, it's just, to my mind, too much tempo to deal with.
Well,
They're going to win.
I like it. It's a split panel. We're going to definitely have something to talk about after the game, regardless of results. We always do anyway, so that's so good. It is time for the opening game of the playoffs. I have 5 more letters for you. ODBSJ.
Thank you very much, Steve. Yes, looking forward to this one. Another exciting day here at the WePlay Booker Belt Minor. Brian, what do we reckon? Drow strat this time for Geek Fam. We saw the other day. That time round, they picked it as the first pick hero. Didn't work out great for them. This time round, they seem to feel that they found themselves in a position where they can come in with the 5th pick Drow.
Wow, the crowd's getting ready for this game as well. The one nervous thing I have about this lineup was when Geek Fam did this yesterday, even though it was a first pick Drow, so it was more punished, they were just getting ran at on the Drow. And I'm kind of concerned about that happening again. This is going to be a carry Leshrac. We weren't exactly sure. That's kind of what I expected, just because you want usually a ranged carry against Omni Knight in lane, just really nice. Pretty much nothing Omni Knight can do. The one thing I like to punish about Omni Knight as a carry is these heroes that are generally gankable in the early stages, like Leshrac, until they get 1 or 2 small items, are not gankable, because Omni Knight, as good of a laner as he is, just doesn't represent any gank threat on you unless he's like diving you. But Leshrac, super fast, ranged hero. These other heroes like Gyros, the Lunas, these heroes just don't get ganked under the pressure of the Omni Knight, but obviously those heroes aren't nearly as popular. I just think the pace of the game from Gambit, as the panel was kind of talking about, might just be too fast here. And the mid matchup for Mag, yeah, you get drain damage from the Razor, but first off, when Razor gets level 3, which makes the static link more powerful enough to actually drain enough damage, at that point he's just like jungling half the time.
Well, that's the thing, right? You know, Magnus is one of those heroes that it doesn't really matter what you send mid. He's, you know, if it's a competent Magnus player, he's going to have a good game in terms of, you know, being close to that top end of the net worth.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with the hero right now, and what makes him so good. There's very few cores in the game right now that you just pick first round, and they're going to get what they get no matter what. And Mag's now one of the few that fits that description. Puck kind of was that way, but now they keep nerfing the laning stage. They haven't touched Mag yet, so even though he gets drained to damage, he took Skewer to minimize the static link, which I don't even know if that's worth it, because the Empower is just so much damage, so even if he gave away 10 more damage because you couldn't Skewer,
yeah,
kind of interesting.
I guess, yeah, you definitely could do a bit theory crafting about that, definitely when you're considering just the level on the static link, you know, the build-up's not going to be too crazy against you.
I expect him to know better than I do.
Oh,
but
sure.
It's kind of funny, like, both have an argument, right? I like this creep drag. I think Brewmaster's early laning stage is pretty weak, the first 1 to 2 levels. So giving him, looking to deny a creep wave underneath your tower or drag it in front, both options are fine. Looks like they're choosing to do the latter, dragging in front to keep the lane equilibrium, and in the meantime, the Drow Ranger also dragging the creeps to her other wave. So pretty normal stuff going on top, while a lot of trading going on bottom. This is one fear I always have when I play Leshrac safe lane, is my lane just gets pushed into me. You don't have any wave clear early levels. Like, yeah, you have the stun that does damage, but this always happens whenever I'm playing Leshrac safe. A nice toss under tower, but the creep,
has been killed.
Hero melee creep, takes the entire 3 tower shots that Cuckoo would have taken.
See top Shasha getting right in underneath that tower, trying to keep the aggression on the Drow here on those early levels of Raven.
Mid lane actually going quite well for Carl, but as you said, like, Mag, whatever, worst case scenario, weather the storm of the first couple of levels, and then you're just going to jungle anyway.
Another stain on the battlefield.
Shasha just have to be a little careful here. Still, Nature's Graph still has a lot of setup potential. Get caught in it too long, and a barrage of multi-shot from Raven could put him off over the edge, but keeping the lane held well. CS-wise, Shashlo he's kind of struggling to get the creep hits, falling a little bit behind on these first few waves.
Yeah, it looks like every lane going slightly in advantage of Geek Fam here. So the pace of the game that I was worried about Gambit setting is already looking to not be the case. Even though it is quite early to tell, this is clearly an advantage in all 3 lanes. About 3 or 4 CS across the board. And that's just exactly what the Geek Fam lineup needs. They do have strong lanes in the Drow, Treant, the Razor, as well as the Omni. I just figured that if they're not ahead, the pace of the game from Gambit is much faster than that of GeekFam, but by no means can they not contest the mid-game on the GeekFam side. Drow does a lot of mid-game damage now. Razor with 1 or 2 small items absolutely contributes to fights. And Omni-Knight obviously one of the best offlaners for the mid-game team fights. This tech camp is kind of being a thorn in the side for Gambit in the safe lane here.
Yeah, GeekFam's been able to hold the lane in a very nice position with those constant pulls to the side. And now Vampire, he's tried to step forward to interrupt this, but he's caught in the kinetic field. Thunderstrike's out on him. That's going to be your first blood. As GeekFam, they're just lane control down is a little too much for Gambit's dual lane to deal with at the moment.
Incredible abuse of that camp. Meanwhile, we see Dubu going down top, but what happens bottom is they keep forcing the creeps to be pulled into the creep camp, and they have to walk up there and contest. And even though Disruptor Omni don't really have quote-unquote kill potential between the two heroes, if you're forced to walk into them, they're pretty strong. So because XS Vampire had to contest that stacked camp to stop the creeps from getting pulled, he put himself out of position, and that's a really good way to abuse the heroes that Cuckoo and I'm totally blanking right now.
That's all right, Brian. It's
Zephyr. I'm like, I know it's a name I've said about 20 times this tournament that Cuckoo and Zephyr have in the bottom lane.
Is it, looking at the draft still as well, Brian, one thing that I do notice from GeekFam's lineup is the only control is Disruptor and Tree, right? They don't have any sort of hard stuns. Is that going to be a problem for GeekFam down the line, or is Disruptor and Tree enough for sort of team fight control?
The thing is, you don't really have heroes that need to be hard stunned. You don't have these like Storm Spirits, these insta-cast mobility heroes. You have Lesh, you have Mag, you have Brute Cores. So as long as you can control them with stuff like Kinetic Field, even just the overgrowth, the glimpses out of position, I think it's enough to punish the heroes they're going against. So some games, lack of hard disable can be much more costly than others, and I don't think this is one of those games.
Vampire. Could be a second time he's taken down here. Zephyr slowly right-clicks him out of the lane. Was able to get over and grab the bounty ring, at least tiny, but a second death for him down on this bottom.
Yeah, this is not quite the start that Gambit's looking for. I said that already, but there's really no kill potential in any of the lanes for this Tiny. The Razor is just too dominant.
There we go. Maybe they can get something done here. As soon as Vampire's back in the game, he's going to look to move towards the top lane and get aggressive with FNG and Shashlo surrounding Raven, and they'll bring him down. Raven will fall. Vampire may have gone down those 2 times bottom, but he's quick to read the situation and go somewhere where he can make some action happen.
I think that's important, but at the same time, your Leshrac is pretty low, so he's going to suffer a bit, most likely, once the lane gets pushed back out. Really good movement from him. As I said there, I didn't really see any kill potential in these lanes, but tossing the Granite Golem onto the Drow, that's definitely a way to set up a kill. Zephyr now being even more of an annoyance. Tossed back on the tree as well. He's pretty tanky. Also hard to chase him through this grass, but
they've got FNG wrapping around. Yep. Mud Golems are ready to start chucking some stones at him. And Gambit, yeah, as you say, they were falling a little bit behind in these lanes in terms of farm, just a few CS, very close, but now able to read a position to get back in. And whoa, mid lane.
Solo killed in the mid lane. I'm assuming that's to the RP, which is
and look at this top lane. They're just diving past Tier 1's Gambit. They've turned it up right now. It may have been a slow start for the first few minutes, but now Gambit bringing the heat.
What did I say in the draft, right? Drow's just going to get ran at, and they're doing such a good job of doing just that. I was really concerned about the slow start they had, but wow. The oven's been turned on, and the heat is being brought to GeekFam. That is quite a change of pace in the last, 30 seconds.
Yeah. And it's those sort of moves, those sort of fast plays, right, that, for GeekFam, with your carry being a Drow, you start to feel a little worried about. If they're making moves like this, you know that Gambit's, they're not going to stop keeping this pace up.
Yeah, and even though the CS not looking too hot for the Brewmaster and the Lesh, the Drow, you're just going to keep getting ran at, and it's going to be in the hands of the Razor as well as the Omni-Knight to make space for you, and there's just so much mid-game coming from Gambit. It just scares me. It scared me at the start of the game. I thought they were going to alleviate that pressure pretty well, but now Gambit really is showing the capabilities of their draft. I love how they're using the Chin. Mag getting the double neutral drop. Broom handle really good for that hero. Royal Jelly always good for any core that uses their mana to farm. So he's super happy with that. Top of the net worth shards. As long as Leshrac's able to recover, which I really see there being no reason why he can't, He has to get his level 6, and I like that Cuckoo's playing so aggressive, prioritizing the aggression over his own CS here. Just because it is his job to, I think it's more important that he slows down the opponent than to accelerate his game. He needs to make as much time for the Drow as possible.
Mid lane Carl
man,
is in trouble. Vampire makes the rotation. Zephyr not quite there in time to provide any sort of safety for his Razor. As Gambit from that top lane down to the mid there, you know, they're looking bloodthirsty. Making a lot of moves, and already you can see them eyeing up, collapsing behind this tower, and already, you know, Geek Fam know they'll quickly make sure that there's no carries to be found up here, only Dubu that will hang around, but nothing he can do to stop this tower going down as Dream now getting involved as well. 8 minutes in, moves to top, takes the tier 1.
Yeah, right as I said in the game that there was really no kill potential happening, it seemed like for XS Vampire on the Tiny. He's just like, I'll show you. He's just killing everybody now. Rotating from top to mid, the Leshrac, even though he's having a rough start, that Edict shreds towers, one of the best things to kill it through living armor. Usually the problem with Tree is you're not able to commit full to 0 to towers, but that is what the Leshrac offers to their lineup that it was missing. They have all the team fight, they have the scaling ability with the Magnus mid, and now you have the very convenient tower taking from the Lesh, who's going to get level 6 off this creep wave. Dubu also trading farm top. But look at this, invading this Drow, man.
They're going to try and drag back Vampire into the clutches of Raven and Carl. They should have a pretty solid kill here on Tiny as Tiny. Whoa, maybe with a toss like that. Salvin up. He's away. He's out of range of Carl. They do get the reach for a further Thunderstrike, and they will finally claim him, but does take the 4 heroes to push that support Tiny out of their jungle.
Yeah, I mean, it's what they have to do on the Geek Fam. You can't just say, hey, you know, let Drow do your thing. That's the problem that I have with Drow. You have to help her. She's not independent farmer. Most of the cores in this patch do fit that description where they don't really need help once they get level 5 or 6. And Drow is the complete opposite if she's being bullied like this. And that is the one weakness I see in the hero. And I think that teams have really figured out how to punish that and why Drow's kind of fallen out of favor a bit, despite the fact that she's still getting picked up, especially by teams like Geek Fam. And the bounties, as well as the outpost coming out.
And that's sort of what you look at the net worth, and like, you know, Dream and Raven, pretty much the exact same net worth, but because of the heroes, you're much more happy being a Lesh in this position in this sort of game rather than being the Drow at this stage.
He can just chill and farm. He's going to get recalled by Chen. He can always just TP to base, kind of have his own pseudo bots. I think I even saw him queuing up the Boots of Travel. So he's just playing for the efficiency game. The fact that he can itemize in a way that isn't defensive is really useful for his efficiency. Looking to take a fight bottom.
And Geek Fam's got numbers here. They could try and fight this. You know, Shasho's leading him with the Primal Split very aggressively. Carl's going to go for the link onto Dream. Dream's able to step outside of the Static Storm, but the Thunderstrike's bringing him low. Kuku's going to attempt to stay on top of the Lesh. The Thunderstrike will end. Dream is running as fast as he can. Kuku is able to slowly close the gap with that DJ Aura and a Purification Nuke. Kuku will take the kill.
Dire's middle tower.
That was a very sloppy execution by Gambit. They're just like haphazardly taking this, not expecting that many heroes from Geek Fam. Kuku TP's in the mid lane, gets immediately RP'd, skewered into the Tiny, but he tosses the mag instead of the Tiny, or instead of the Omni Knight, excuse me, but works out nonetheless, and that might be a tower for them all as well.
I'm going to TP Carl into this lane, but he's not going to be around before the tower falls. He'll go straight away onto GPK, but GPK's good to kind of turn, pull him in a bit with the shockwave. He's got the with the Echo, the Avalanche too. Carl's in trouble. Toss ball from Vampire. Carl, he's just going to straight up die him. There we do one more touch. There it is. Vampire beats him down. Not the TP that Carl should have been going for there. Over ambitious, trying to link this Magnus, but you can't mess around with him. He's got 2 braces and a completed Echo Saber. He's just going to turn and punch you.
I did not like what they did bottom on Gambit, but once they forced 4 heroes there, they are proving the weakness of Geek Fam's lineup that we've seen almost every game they're playing, and that they just don't operate well independently. And heroes like Mag, they're just so strong in these small skirmishes. He does so much damage. He's so tanky. He has the mobility if he needs to get away from 1 or 2 heroes. And they're punishing the fact that Geek Fam had 4 heroes bottom, and they kind of lazily TP to other lanes rather than quickly executing to defend their mid tower 1 at a time, chain feed. Reminiscent of the pub dodo you and I'm sure are used to seeing.
So that's the problem as well from Geek Fam. Yes, they got the carry kill down bottom. They weren't even able to take the Tier 1 tower. You know, still Gambit yet to lose a tower themselves. And the aggression is still there. Vampire tosses back Zephyr, drop down the Static Storm. It is going to allow him to get away from them, stay alive for now. Now Geek Fam can try and turn. They've got the vision for the glimpse back. Tiny's in trouble. He's dead. Geek Fam will get Vampire once more, and they're TPing over aggressively. Carl wants to keep this chase on. See if he can keep on top of FNG. FNG slowed down by the advances, and Raven from the sidelines shoots him down with a multi-shot. Geek Fam will punish Gambit this time with 2 deaths for coming over to their side of the map.
Yeah, they do have to be careful of overextending. They do have the Disruptor to punish that. Tree's not a bad support to do that as well. I like the aggression from Gambit. And I like the fact that GPK is playing alone. They've kind of moved the Leshrac into the half of the map that the rest of the team's playing. You can only really have 1 hero playing alone since you have the Chen lineup. The goal in this patch is to be able to have 5 heroes in one place at a time. Have the capability to do so. You don't always have to. And I think that Gambit really understands this meta well with the use of their Chen. Because the one thing I keep harping on about this Geek Fam lineup is they are able to have 5 heroes in a place at any given moment, but they kind of have to have 5 heroes. Like, none of their heroes do anything alone. You know, Magnus is a solo kill hero with like maybe even just a Tiny can kill anyone on the side of Geek Fam, which makes their plays much less predictable, much easier to execute. While on the opposing side, Geek Fam probably needs at least 3 heroes to get a kill, and those need to be specific heroes like the Disruptor, as well as the Tree. Otherwise, it's much easier to read from the Geek Fam.
Going to try for the setup here. Vampire moves in, gets the range, that toss back straight into RP. No messing around. They know that Cuckoo, he is the high-value kill. Cuckoo will still stay alive for a little bit longer, though. With the use of the GA, the Heavenly Grace, TPs are coming in. Can Gambit actually finish this kill off? Another avalanche, another toss back into the army that FNG has commanded to kill him. They get that kill. It takes them a lot of work, but it's a high-value one. All 3 of Geek Fam's cores pretty much evenly in a good position. Grab back here on Shashlo. They're trying to kill him off through the Static Storm, but they quite have the damage to do so. They'll use the ult off Dubu to hold him in place, but it's not enough damage. Shashlo is fine, and now Gambit can turn. GPK skewers in, beats down the tree. Geek Fam cannot quite get the kills they need and continue to just sort of, as you say, they're sort of all over the place, losing cores and trying to save them when it's already too late, and losing extra lives on top of it because of these attempts.
Yeah, the dynamic of the game I was trying to explain, albeit poorly, is what exactly is causing that to happen. The fact that they can make so many plays around the map, and then they also have strong teamfight on the side of Gambit, it just is awkward. I don't know how else to word it for Geek Fam to play the map like this, and they don't, like, to the casual observer, I think they look just bad. You're like, what are they doing? They're going for these kills, but they have damage issues without the heroes that are also supposed to be farming, while Gambit, all of their cores, the 2 main cores, the Leshrac as well as the Mag, do so much damage that them plus the Tiny's enough that the other one can be farming. And I like that they're going for excess Vampire here, but the Tosk, he's continuously doing this to defend himself. This is just so much information. Always 3 heroes from Geek Fam. It's like, yeah, maybe he didn't need the feed right there, right? But there's just always such a heavy commitment required from Geek Fam to do exactly the same thing that Gambit is doing whenever they go for kills.
And you're going to see sort of what Dream now really start to catch up. Then he finds a setup down on him because he's got the bots complete. Yep. So between that, TP scrolls, FNG calling him around the map, this Lesh he can be anywhere he wants to.
It's just like a regen room is what the bots are, and that's why people... we were talking about during the draft off screen here, like why Leshrac kind of fell out of favor. And the only reason I could ever come up with was the Shrine change at 5 minutes used to benefit him a lot because he would expend a lot of his mana, and then he would get like a camp stack or 2, and then heal back up to full and be on the map. And hero damage coming out from the Leshrac is pretty... like 4.1k at this stage in the game. It's almost proving that he's really not participating all that much, to be honest with you. Mainly just clearing creeps and towers. And that just shows that... the funny thing is, I feel like Mag's been incredibly involved in this game. And look at the net worths, man. This hero is insane.
I feel like we've seen this so many times from a Magnus that has a solid start. You know, anyone sort of like the GPKs, the niches, you know, these players, they'll have these games. They just make the hero look straight up busted, because what other hero can just consistently be this far ahead of the rest of the pack?
And just casually kill people with his ultimate off cooldown, and not even using it as like a team fight spell anymore nowadays. And the big thing I think about Mag that I really like about his build here is, yeah, he goes for all these efficiency items, and now that he has a BKB, he's unkillable. Like, unless he's just so caught out of position, which is I don't believe is ever going to happen. He's just not killable. And now that you're this far ahead, the one thing that can go wrong is dying, because you're just such a naturally efficient hero. There's no reason to go for more damage items yet or more efficiency items. You already do that well enough. No reason to get greedy. Just don't give Geek Fam away back into this game. They are kind of leveling out the net worth lead. It was 5K, now back down to 4K. They're probably going to be looking to roast with this Vlad's. I do like the pickup from the Brewmaster. It gives them that. GBK is just playing like a raid boss.
He just charges in,
man.
I mean, look at the level difference, for instance. You know, he's level 16 at the moment on the Magnus. Yeah, on the other side, you know, Cuckoo, level 12 on that offlane Omni. And this is Cuckoo, you know, he had a very easy start, right? He had pretty much the solo lane. He was getting a lot of farm. Now he's going to continue to be bullied. Gambit, with the full 5 of them, they want to take the Omni out of any potential team fight that Geek Fam could put together. He takes a long time to bring down. Another Purification Heal helps him out that little bit, but so much damage is being pumped out by Dream. He cannot stay alive. The GA in vain, as it does nothing at all.
The Brewmaster against the glimpse on mid doesn't really matter that much, but the Brewmaster against the Omni Knight's really nice, just because in the mid to late game fights, you have the AoE Dispel against the Guardian Angel that comes from the Storm Panda. So they have really all the tools they need to deal with what Geek Fam's doing in the game, what their game plan is, how they scale. Gambit really well drafted around like counter-picking Geek Fam's strengths of their lineup. Doing a good job trading from Geek Fam here. They don't really want to fight. They're just too far behind. Heroes like Drow don't do very well when they're this far behind. Even though he's having a decent game, your lineup's behind and you're just going to get ran at the entire fight, so your damage output's going to be negligible.
And now it's even easier for Gambit to set off these plays with the Blink Dagger complete on Excess Vampire. So we've seen already he's just been able to walk up, Avalanche and toss back. Now he's going to be able to do it with no trouble at all.
Yeah, they do have the BKB coming out on Razor, so he may be able to enable the Drow to fight better by serving as a nice frontliner. But I'm also scared that he just dies to the physical damage of the mag. And you also have the disable from RP that goes through BKB, but so by no means is this a get out of jail free card with the BKB.
They are getting some objectives themselves now, though. Geek Fam, they managed to take the middle tier 1 and the top one. Bit of a short glimpse, but here's the blink reveal from Excess Vampire. He's going to go jump straight into them, straight into a bit of a disaster, though. The Static Storms drop down, as well as Raven turning with a multi-shot. They'll kill off Excess Vampire. Shashlow's still trying to make something happen with the Primal Split. The rest of Gambit watching from the sidelines, seeing if they can get in somehow by the tier 2, but it seems indeed a little too hard to do so now, because Geek Fam, they've got time to prepare, and they may just catch Shashlow as well here. The vision granted by Dubu, dragged back, he'll go straight for the TP out. He knows there's no stun, but it doesn't matter. Dubu pops the ult, they've got the damage anyway. As Shashlow will not be able to escape as Gambit, maybe getting a little too trigger happy with that Blink Dagger pickup on Excess Vampire, jumping in towards the tier 2 tower. You know, you have to still respect all 3 cores of Geek Fam are still in a very, very good position. They will turn and fight you if you don't fully commit as 5.
Yeah, you do have to punish them when they're out of position, but Geek Fam's playing very conservatively on their own side of the map. The Drow is by no means out of position when he makes these plays on the Tiny, so just like you said, getting a little overeager inside of Gambit. Geek Fam punishing necessarily too, you know you're not out of position. If you're on Geek Fam's side, you have to recognize, okay, where's the line on the map that we can advance to? How far up are we allowed to play? And if we're not crossing that line and they're still going on us, we have to punish it. We cannot just let them do this. And so they did a really good job of defending their Drow there. And it is clear that they do a good job of playing around this hero, so that I like a lot. The fact that they're so highly prioritizing in their drafts. We have seen the weaknesses of the hero time and time again with them in the last couple days, but we saw them yesterday put up a real fight when they were down by like 5 to 10,000 gold.
Yeah, that's
and
the thing.
This game, they've closed it down to 1,000 actually at 21 minutes, which was previously 5K. By no means is this game all Gambit late.
No, for sure. I mean, because this is the thing, right? You know, we're talking about the difficulties for Geek Fam. Sure, they made a few sort of awkward plays at the start, but overall, it's just the fact of the heroes. It's a very hard game for Geek Fam to win, but they can do it because of how well we've seen them play in later portions of the game.
Brewmaster dying bottom as well again. The tower is getting defended, but they just do so much damage. So many auras. I don't know if he's setting up for his team here. He has to live.
He's going right into 4 of them. They do have Raven. The rest of the team is turning up. The wraparound for K with the BKB. GPK's going to pop the BKB in the RP. He's taken out Cuckoo. He's taken down Zephyr as well. But Carl, he's still kind of good to go with the BKB up. FNG and Vampire. Vampire will toss FNG out to the side to save him. It will cost Vampire his life, and maybe FNG can even get out of here. The plasma field won't quite reach him. So FNG will be able to escape. But each of these fights, you know, looking a little more scrappy for Gambit. Sure, they're getting objectives, but Geek Fam, they're able to get some really good trades out of this.
I don't know if you're necessarily ever willing to sacrifice yourself on any hero to save a Chen, but, you know, Excess Vampire, you know, saving his captain there, you got to respect the, you know, the self-sacrifice that he's willing to make. The big problem I have with Magnus being your only right-clicker this game is it is very clear who Razor is supposed to link in these fights. He's going to hold it, he's going to get the mag every time, and Brewmaster just casually feeding bottom before that. I think he was planning to get recalled by the Chen. Omni Knight's Guardian Angel was like 2 seconds cooldown, so I think that could have been even worse for Gambit than it was. Roche is definitely going to be the point of contention. You have the Drow lineup, you have the Vlads coming out from Gambit. They're going to look to, I think, just punish the fact that the Overgrowth is on cooldown. I think that's really the only thing I can see here. Maybe they just think they're stronger as 5 and they just need to get something done.
So if Geek Fam can do anything about this, they do smoke up. They are going to have time to get over towards the pit. Can they strike before Roshan falls? It's down to half health. It's not the quickest of Roshan, so they are going to have time to head in for the fight. Straight up, Carl is thrown up into the air. Shashlo, no hesitation as he commits with the primal split and starts to turn towards the Razor. But Carl, he's tanking. He's still got his BKB ready to utilize if he feels threatened. Gambit posturing outside of the pit. Ex-Vampire is going to jump in. Immediate BKB. They just turn, rip through the Tiny. The rest of Gambit, they've got to get out of it. Shashlo's primal split's going to end, and Geek Fam, they're going to look to run them down. Static links onto Shashlo, the Overgrowth here, holding them all down. They'll bring down the Brewmaster. Geek Fam, they're ready to try and kill them all. GPK has to pop the BKB and skewer away. Glimpse back on Dream. It's 3 kills for Geek Fam as Gambit are bullied away from the pit. I mean, you were starting to say it yourself when they were going for that race. You're like, what do they see here? It was not going to be an easy play. They were never going to do it that quickly. And Geek Fam, they punish it perfectly.
Yeah, I think Gambit getting a little panic mode right now. I don't know, you know, obviously they can't see if they were up in net worth or not, but they can feel that their lead that they had, the commanding 5K net worth lead, was gone, and their control of the game was slipping. And Mag is against a bunch of ranged heroes and an Omni Knight. Like, by no means is RP Cleave like a strong mechanic as this game goes late. And I honestly don't know if Gambit can win this game at this point. Like, I'm almost like as doubtful for them as I was for Geek Fam like 10 minutes ago. But Geek Fam's proven they can play these lineups so well.
GPK, he's just dead here, right? Unless Dream could do something crazy.
He's so tanky, though.
Raven, he's not got the Molly shot quite back up yet, so GPK will manage to live.
Meanwhile, though,
but he loses his carry for it. Dream came in to try and help out. He ends up dying. It's a 2K lead now for Geek Fam, and it really does seem like that. Those sort of early game movements that we were so impressed by from Gambit, that's just all but a bit of history now, as Geek Fam have taken entire control. As Gambit,
monster.
They're crumbling.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a 1v2. And Carl just showing them who's the real boss here. The problem I have with Tiny now at this stage in the game, if you look at all the scaling for Gambit, now that they're behind, right? Tiny blinks in, what's gonna happen? He's just gonna die, right? You're gonna have Brewmaster. They can't really reliably kill anybody in split. Mag, you have the RP, as I said, the cleave against a bunch of ranged heroes and Omni Knight, just not that strong. Chen, we all know he kind of just enables other heroes, so if the other heroes aren't that strong, neither is Chen. And Leshrac, he has to be up in your face to be dealing damage. And against these ranged heroes from the Drow Razor lineup, which is going to dish out a lot of damage, he is just not tanky enough at this stage in the game to go that close. Like, he's not going to be able to dish out the damage he needs to do. So I think Gambit's just going to have to try to catch Geek Fam with their pants down, but at this stage, they're 5-manning. They're going to be 5-manning. There's no reason for them not to. You have the Spider Legs on Omni for positioning. That's a really nice neutral item for him. Just sitting behind one of your 2 cores who's going to be heavenly graced up. At this point, this is when Drow lineups become real scary in the current patch. You just can't fight into it, and if you blink in and misstep even briefly, you're getting glimpsed back in. You're dead.
And you know, the cores of Gambit, you know, they really are starting to fall behind. We talked about earlier how it's sort of close in the net worth, and they have ways to play themselves back in. But you look at Shashlo, and he's just really falling back into sort of being a third support this game for Gambit, as he has no net worth to show. Even in those last fights, sure, sometimes you say he's a brew, he's still going to be able to get locked on with the primal split, but with the damage that Geek Fam have, they can deal with the split. That fight around the pit, Shashlo tried to get something started, but he had no presence at all. They were not scared of the primal split one bit.
I underestimated Geek Fam and their ability to play this lineup once again, but man, Gambit is just getting torn apart at this stage.
Standing Storm's going to be down. GPK tries for the RP, but a quick gust from Raven knocks him back. They'll turn and start beating into this poor old Magnus who's falling low. He goes for an RP onto nothing at all. GPK's out. Dream is as well. I mean, it's just falling to pieces. They may even just call GG. This is one of those games. They do call GG. They're just done. I don't know what's happening in the comms here for Gambit. They had a decent start, but GeekFam, they just broke them. And this is game one. They've got a whole more series. They've got to complete the series. But if you're starting off game one of a best of 3 like that, you can't feel very hopeful at all for Gambit. GeekFam they smashed them.
Everything I was scared about the Drow lineup having happened to it was happening, but GeekFam, man, they stuck with it. They always protected the Drow. Even if they were playing inefficiently because they had to, every time Gambit didn't bring enough numbers to punish the squishiness of this Drow, the fragility of this ranged core lineup, they just killed them every time, and Gambit just fed maybe 2, 3, 4 too many times, and suddenly the game just, I mean, I'd love to see the graph. It was 5K net worth, and then suddenly just 9K in less than 5 minutes. I mean, that was, like you said, shambles.
But you were sort of standby, going back to that point of the game where Gambit were 5K up with those 2 drafts. Like a lot of other teams in those positions, like it should have been an easy win for Radiant, you would have said.
I mean, I just think GeekFam had to really know how to play their lineup. Like if they were playing a lineup that they were not 100% comfortable on, they would have lost that game. And a lot of teams would have lost that game. But I think that's why they're prioritizing the Drow so highly.
Yes.
Because they clearly understand its weaknesses, what the game's most likely going to look like when it's a bad game, and what they need to do to come back from that situation.
Yeah, well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 of this best of 3 as GeekFam they just break down Gambit into a very early GG. Now, nothing was lost on the high ground, but Gambit, they were just lost. They've got to try and pull it back together for game 2. But there we have it. GeekFam off to a brilliant start in this best of 3.
Yes, indeed they are. Thank you so much, ODPixel and BSJ. We said at the start of this game, it should be even. We had 2 panelists, 1 going for each team. I guess we kind of could, guess which one would be the one that
say it.
Correct.
Kyle has done very well this event.
Yeah,
that was my first.
Was that your first?
Yeah, it was. I kid. It was a good game.
7-1. That's still really respectable, but
solid.
And they were ahead for a large portion of that game.
Yeah, they just, even with Leshrac, got absolutely destroyed in the laning phase, and that is rough. That was the last overall pick of the game.
Yeah.
And no, last overall pick. Sorry, that was the Drow. But either way, you knew what you were laning against. You got bodied.
Yes.
And that completely messes up their timings.
I think Disruptor is just insane. There was definitely a moment where I'm watching before the bounty rune spawn, and I'm watching this Leshrac try and man fight this Disruptor, and I'm just going, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to man fight a Disruptor. Thunderstrike just does way too much damage.
Yeah.
So a fragile hero like Leshrac just becomes a little bit exposed to it.
Yeah.
And then so many times he's just controlled up, like in this team fight here, where he's brought back into a bad position, kinetic field, and this Drow Ranger has so much space. Honestly, Disruptor's an insane hero.
Yes.
He, as a support, he acts like a frontliner with the way kinetic field works. He has the best catch in the game.
Oh.
He has the best, he has some of the best lane harassment in the game.
Your weakness was that you were always really squishy. I remember having to play this hero and position properly with, I'm playing against the Clinks. I'm, desperately trying to get a casual Buckler Medallion to go with my 800 health. Now you get a couple neutral items. I saw yesterday a level 10 Disruptor was 2,000 HP. 2,000 HP.
And the other one, damage. Right? Yeah. You used to go the 1-4-4 build because it was all about your glimpse and kinetic field. People thought Thunderstrike wasn't worth leveling. Well, slight little buffs here, introduction to talents, these sort of things build up, and all of a sudden people are like, why not just run 4-position Disruptor and let's get some higher levels than Thunderstrike?
Yep. And you still get the max glimpse, plenty of catch. Kinetic field scales quite poorly, but either way, it's what, 2.4, 2.6 seconds level 1. That's plenty of lockdown.
Can we also give a little bit of credit here, because yes, Disruptor is a great hero, but before the game started, we actually emphasized a little bit of the position 4s and how we've seen both Sever and X-Vampire have good games, but they're not consistently good. Sever on this Disruptor was obviously great. It's not just the hero that is great, you have to also play it properly, so credit to that. And that Roche fight, to be honest, if you're looking at both lineups, it's just a really good team to have a Roche fight with. The Tree and Protector making it through to the second pick phase even.
Yeah, and this matchup right here I thought was really interesting. You saw Mag solo kill the Razor mid. GPK definitely had an all-star performance, but Carl, his laning phase wasn't ideal, but he owned.
They did.
Yeah. He was up a good 10-15 CS, and then he gets solo killed. Then XS Vampire comes in, ganks him not a minute and a half later, and he dies twice at that point in time, and then his whole game has just been kind of ruined. And yet he still manages to step up by playing with the rest of his team, playing off of Cuckoo, who has shown really good performances on these sustained heroes. He has a strong understanding of heroes that are able to, especially I feel like his Bat is actually maybe his best hero outside of the classic Bat Rider. It just being able to go in. You know?
And I like the itemization on Razor as well. He went for the drums early BKB, which was the right choice. There was no BKB counter with the exception of the RP. And because you have a Leshrac instead of a true right-click carry, there's no physical damage. So, again, had a couple neutral items, has the backup of an Omni Knight. This Razor's not going to die to right clicks. So as soon as that BKB's up, you effectively just have to flee. Also nullifies the Bruce split. I'm fine trading my item for your big cooldown. And Geek Fam kind of rolled a couple fights. Then the Drow comes online, and suddenly you lose one fight and you're losing the game.
With Drow and Drums active, he's just all of a sudden that Razor, when he latches onto somebody, he's attacking so fast.
It did kind of seem, because we started off, I will correct myself, I started off by saying that Gambit should be the favorite going into this, but after watching that first game, I'm not too sure. They called relatively early GG as well. Obviously, there weren't any Rex dead yet. Is that a good thing?
The game was over.
Game was over?
I can't fault him for that.
Okay.
I think that other teams, you could have had the argument that, okay, we're going to have to step up and outplay them on the high ground. But I think there was a very likely chance that it was a sort of 90-10 scenario where you just weren't able, they were playing a nice tempo game, but then they just lost control. And once you lose control with a lineup like that, it's just going to get worse and worse.
Lesh is my favorite hero for HANA and Dota for a decade now. That is, you cannot have a laning phase like that. You are one of those XP-dependent cores more than anything else. You can be running around naked with no items. If you're level 10, you don't care because Nidix is going to kill a tower. When you're level 5, that first rotation top, he was level 5. Cuckoo was level 7. There's no coming back, especially when the map... when there's just so much 100, you're playing against Disruptor, right? You're gonna get caught. They had Disruptor Tree at that. It's not like Lesh can push off lane safely, accelerating. He's eventually gonna get found out and immediately killed.
And when Razor's ahead of you, that matchup can be okay for Leshrac because he doesn't depend on his attack damage. But when the Razor is ahead of you and you don't have a saving mechanism for the Leshrac, you have frontliners, but Razor's just see ya. I'm just going to go straight to that Leshrac. I'm going to latch onto him. I'm going to take him out of the team fight every single time. This Leshrac just won't have a mid-game comeback either.
And he did not.
Something to bring up as well with all these Omnia Baddens being picked. Yes, they're very strong in the meta. Yes, they're great heroes in general because they provide sustain and they can buy the aura items. But they're incredible laners. They're too strong at laning, to be quite honest. And it also goes into that concept of because you can continue using the courier, these are two of the only heroes in Dota that can provide HP to themselves and damage to you. So mana, extra mana is effectively twice as effective as any of the heroes they'll be up against in the lane. Just spam mangoes, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, so maybe focus a little bit more on the lanes for Gambit. They, of course, GG'd out so they can take a break, come back refreshed. And that's what we're going to do too. We'll be right back for game number 2 of the series.
Great Gaming Esports, professional esports housemaker.
Play smarter with Gosu AI. Add a bot to your friend list and find out how good you are. At Fong, at team fights, at laning, and much more.
The playoffs continue here at the Book of El Minor 2020 for WePlay, and Gambit is. Are you guys okay? What's happening?
Sweaters are so soft.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get a chance to look at it.
Oh my God, it's so soft, Sheaves. You gotta.
Sheaves, you want to?
I think I'm comfortable on this chair, even though I'm not sure how comfortable I am on this chair after yesterday either. But yeah, we are in the playoffs. There is nobody that's going to get eliminated off the back of this series, by the way. So we've got to keep that in the back of our minds. Gambit, however, is a game down compared to Geek Fam, and well, I hope that they can just forget about that game and come back fresh for the next. It looked like they came in with a plan, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, I think the difference in the offlaners' impact was a big part of it. Omni doing much better than the Brew in lane, and also providing cleanse, like a true defensive mechanic. That's one thing Gambit's draft is missing. I'd like them to tweak that a bit. Put GPK on the game winner. I wouldn't mind seeing a Shadow Fiend, but give him something that like secures him, whether that's a Venge, a Wyvern, the Lich you had mentioned even is a good start, or one of these high sustain cleanse offlaners.
I remember one team fight there was, normally you think of Disruptor as being a decent counter to Brewmaster because he's got this really long silence, has a way to put him out of position as well. But there was one team fight, they happened at bottom tier 1 Radiant Tower, and I see like Brewmaster has popped his ultimate, the Leshrack's running forward, they look like they really want to take this fight, and all of a sudden, Geek Fam just turns on them with the Static Storm in this AoE, and Razor goes straight towards the Leshrack, and I'm just like, could this be a bit of a disaster? But then I was like, oh, the Storm Panda is like silenced, right? So he couldn't actually Cyclone up the Razor at all. The Razor is able to stay on top of the Leshrack. There's just a lot of issues with some of that team fight. I just feel like Geek Fam, just their first 3 picks, again, it's just an easy game to play in team fights.
The draft works better. Like they had effectively the same exact lineup yesterday, but replaced the Leshrack with Bloodseeker. And it creates this triple frontliner where it feels like in that game they don't have one, but it's really just because all 3 cores can't go in together the same way because Leshrack's so far behind. If you have a Bloodseeker and a Mag with a BKB converging, then a Brewmaster can have the luxury of maybe getting some hits off, acquiring better position. Then you pop the split later, and it's a lot easier to execute. Plus, you have something to stop Razor when he's BKB. That game they have nothing, whereas at least if you rupture him, he can't just chase after your supports and kill him.
There's a lot to think about for Gambit, and they have some time. We have some time too, and we can take some time to enjoy the scenery a little bit more. We have, of course, our helicopter flying around. Sorry, guys, you cannot control it this time around. I must say, though, it is Saturday here in well, everywhere basically, but it is Saturday. It's it's the weekend. So
For
it's
you
like
watching at home, it is Saturday here, in case you're wondering.
But it's extra busy, right?
Yeah.
So over the last week, every day there's been horse carriages, and there's always been 2 horse carriages. This time they were like 7 horse carriages.
Yes, there was a whole like train going on.
Yes, it was massive, and everybody was like, I don't know, you can feel like everybody being on high alert, because when you walk over, you mostly see the people working here.
I keep almost like accidentally knocking over children, because you know how horses wear blinders? Like it's really cold, so all these kids have like these huge coats and hoods on, right? So they're effectively only seeing like what's directly in front of them. So they have no spatial awareness whatsoever.
Did you just
and they dodge under my
Kyle,
knees.
have you ever met a child ever? That has nothing to do with the fact that they're wearing a hood. It has everything to do with that's just the way kids are.
Yes.
You as the adult are supposed to look out for them and be aware and not bowl them over.
I think that's a shared responsibility.
Responsibility of the parents, mostly. you know, keep him in check a little bit.
But there's also ice everywhere, so it's very.
Not this morning,
I'm trying to
not
focus.
today.
There's a lot of hazards, is what I'm
Wait,
saying.
not today. Did you not walk over and have like everything where you were walking being properly cleaned and melted and stuff?
Yes.
Yes. Did you, or did
It's
you
a
go?
warmer
Did
day.
you actually take the shuttle? Because
I did
the
not take the
drive over takes about 7 minutes. The walk over takes about 5.
Jesus, Kyle, you couldn't spend the extra 2 minutes and a little bit of energy. Classic American.
I did walk.
Has to drive everywhere.
Typical American.
You know, it's funny because Rich doesn't know how to drive, so I was going
What?
to teach
He's
him.
American. Are you
So?
sure?
He
How
lives
does he
in New
get? Oh,
York.
wait, he's from New York. He doesn't need to.
Exactly. To be fair, I don't think Owen can drive either.
Well, no, that's not true. He has got his driver's license. That's true. He does have.
When
his,
was the last?
Is he a good driver?
Wait,
he has
you
not
driven
driven
with him?
since he got his license.
I was going to say, have you gotten in a car with him yet, Sheeves?
I did, but I was in the driver's seat.
Gotcha.
So there's that.
It's actually, you know, that's something I'd love to do. Like, do a survey of Dota talents and players and see how many like remedial life skills they have. Cap has taught half the scene to iron, as an example. I wonder how many people can cook.
Paul has taught a lot of people how to
Jesus
tie
Christ.
ties.
I remember Rich had never ironed up until that Starletter event that we worked together, right?
Really, CQ Major?
No, it wasn't the CQ Major. It was the one that we were
Key
at.
of Minor?
We were all,
Yeah.
Key of Minor
yeah. He
Yeah.
never ironed until that point.
Yeah, because he saw
He
the
works as a
board.
professional host.
Yeah, he got the iron. He thought it was for grilling eggs or something.
But that's weird.
I've seen
But
it done.
there's also a lot of esport events that do the ironing for you. So maybe he was just spoiled from working, for example, if you're working in a different game, World of Warcraft or something, they provide fully ironed outfits for you. I mean, did you have to iron your sweater today?
No, but I've also never
because-
had somebody pick out my wardrobe for an event ever.
Yeah.
No, but this
is a
should be
first.
the next. This should be the standard. This should be the norm.
I kind of want.
Yes, I like the
Sheeves'
more
sweater.
relaxed feel.
Yeah, me too.
How
it's
about
cozy.
every event from now on, we are only going to wear cozy Christmas outfits, or not necessarily Christmas, just homeware.
I think.
I'm sorry, we can't do that. You want to know why?
Why?
Well, I'll agree to it, and then we'll show up, and then there'll be Purge and his three-piece going on, standing
Yeah.
up there on the weatherman. We'll all look like fools.
Yeah,
I will not look like a
We're
fool.
working on ironing shirts. He's got the pocket squares pressed. He's on a different level, but
My man wears shirt stays. You know what they are?
What?
Shirt stays. They're these
Yes, I've
elastic
seen
things
them.
you attach to your socks, and then they run up your leg and attach them to your blouse. I wore them in the military, and I will never wear them again.
But they're not
It's just
very
like a bad-
comfortable, right?
No,
When you
they're-
sit
they're
down,
like kind
they're
of
like-
itchy and stuff, and they rub against you. Purge is like, yeah, I got these shirt stays. They work really well. I was like, yeah, you enjoy that, buddy. I will never do that again.
yeah, I've had enough experiences with feeling itchy in my pants. I don't want to have to do that on a daily basis.
That's
glad
true.
you
Reminder,
made that
we
joke.
need to stop by when we get back to the Netherlands and get a checkup for you.
Gambit's gonna first pick Tiny again. I like this. I think it's probably their. It's definitely Vampire's best hero as we actually get a zoom in up on the venue. Hi guys, this is what we're inside.
Yes, that's
I'd
right.
never seen the top of the building.
Yeah,
There's skating up there? Is that what that was? It looked like a Zamboni or something rolling
A
around.
Zamboni? I've never.
I don't think it was a Zamboni.
It couldn't be a Zamboni on top of a building, but it looked like some sort of skating rink, right?
Possible.
Crazy.
I don't know. Supposedly, I'm gonna go to a bucket spa later. It's like a old school wooden.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I've heard about that.
Like huge bucket that they
okay.
pump hot water into.
Okay.
Apparently, it's traditional to do it naked. So I'll be taking a friend of mine, probably Rich or Cap.
I was gonna ask who the friend was, but I guess I just found out I'm getting naked with Kyle later on.
Hey, you're a Marine.
It's a classic Saturday.
It wouldn't be the first time or the last. You were up close and personal with a naked man. Am I right, Cap?
It's too many to count at this point.
All right, let's focus a little bit more on the Dota at the moment. I'll just stay on track here. We do have the Omni Knight and Disruptor banned out by Gambit. They also spotted out their mistake previous game, so
Yep.
Geekfam won't get their hands on
Not
that.
surprised. Enigma did the same in after their first loss to Pandas yesterday because it is the best hero to play as for right now because to Cap's point, you can just do so much. There's no, you're not punished for poor positioning because you're so tanky. You have a great laning phase. You always can find kills. And there's just no downside. You even have the ability to go late game and have arguably the best Ags in Dota 2.
Legion Commander.
Yeah.
You went from, in my opinion, one of the best easy to go to offlaners of the game. Pick up Omni every chance you get to one of the ones that I keep on seeing and keep on hating.
That's
Legion Commander.
I
Brian
like
was
that.
right, man.
Yeah, Brian is going on about that too. However, like on paper, I can't imagine like you've got Omni Knight. He can repel, he can heal. You got a Baton, he can shield, he can heal. And then another offlaner that can do that is Legion Commander. He can also purge off the spells a little bit. I feel like there is something there.
It's just so single target is the issue. And you don't really provide much outside of right clicks and press the attack. You need a much more... I feel like what it is that Omni and Abaddon you can put with like 20 different draft archetypes, and it's going to look great and fit in properly. Legion Commander requires a lot more specific set of circumstances to be top tier.
Yeah, because if you think about like the way Omni wants to play team fights, he can frontline a little bit, but most of the time he's just going to be the reactionary sort of deal, but that's still really easy to play. You have Abaddon, right? Just full on run in all the time. Be the first one into every single fight and be the last one out. Easy to play. Legion Commander, well, your whole mechanic is going to be focused around this duel, which requires you to be able to get the initiation, but simultaneously not overextend. You're easily disposable in that regard.
But is there not a way that you can play it differently so that is not your focus?
The problem is not about necessarily the play, but also the way you have to itemize. Abaddon and Omni Knight all can... they have a lot more luxury in terms of the directions they can go. Vlad's, Helm of the Dominator, Pipe, all very valuable in this patch. Solar Crest. Legion Commander could buy those, but you don't
we have
really
seen some
want
go
to.
for the pipes, but it's not, it doesn't feel
it's not
great
the
for your
same,
toolkit.
because you need to be dealing damage. That's your hero's purpose. You have one defensive ability, and Omni has 3. You can't get away with doing that. And they go for immediately now for a bat, most likely just to one-to-one deal with this TA. Very good counter for her throughout the game, very BKB reliant. You lasso her through it, and of course you burn through the refraction before it comes online.
Fair. I mean, nice. You analyzed that properly, but it doesn't feel like you like it.
It's too early.
Is it good versus Tiny? Because I'm looking at this is Bat 5, potentially Core.
Well,
I kind of doubt.
It is one of Cuckoo's favorite heroes. It could also be picked a slight bit earlier because you don't want to give it away to Shachlo. He's one of the few offlaners in Dota. Like, he'll play Bat into anything.
He was like literally the go-to Bat player of like 3 years ago.
And it's one of those heroes like we talk about all the time, like, oh man, this is a terrible Bat game. This is going to be rough. But at the end of the day, the reason it's been picked for the last decade is because you have Lasso. You can kill someone. And it might be more difficult, but it's going to provide you one of those game-winning mechanics. And that's the Lich we were talking about in the pre-match. Liquid picked this up first 2 whenever available.
Yep.
And it's...
I mean, we saw it on Ninjas in Pajamas yesterday, too. Even though they lost, it looked real good. Like, he had a lot of impact.
Really good LC counter.
What happened to TA, by the way? Because I feel like we're watching one esports, we're watching, like, for example, EG, just like throughout that tournament would 1-2 Templar Assassin, no big deal. We get to this tournament, only time I see TA really banned out. Oh, they picked Drow Ranger, make sure we ban TA 3-4.
Yep.
Or 4-5. Right? Like, what?
I think teams might just not be confident with it first 2. Also, the openers in the previous couple of series were tough for TA. I don't think you want to be picking it into heroes like Tree, as an example.
Okay.
Chen as well, not ideal. It's again, it's a new patch, right? A lot of things are opened up. People haven't really discovered which cores are appropriate for first 2ing. That's when a meta really gets settled, is when that top echelon of 5 to 10 heroes is truly decided upon. A lot of fast picks coming out. The Ember, one of the best one-to-one counters against TA. Weak in the lane against him, but throughout the game, you burn through refraction, can immediately get on top of TA, who's very susceptible to being jumped upon. And then Slark as an excellent counter to the Bat. You don't worry about LC super much because you have so much regen in the laning phase now, and you can trade so easily with Essence Shift. Plus, you've got a Lich. If you get duel, just pop the armor. You're going to survive through it, no problem.
You know what
he
happened
tries
to
duel you,
OD as well,
it's like
by the
super
way?
easy.
Sorry. What happened to OD?
Oh, yeah, I've been...
OD, he's casting. He's probably in the green room waiting to get on.
No, I don't think he's at the green room anymore. He's probably sitting at the thing. But...
Oh, Kyle, you slay me. You're the funniest panelist of all of Dota. Fucking love being on panel
sarcasm
with you.
here. I know I'm the best.
Yeah, what do we need for Gambit? Because I feel like their lineup just looks good all around.
They need a
I'm
save?
happy. I feel like their win condition is already well set up. I feel like Gambit, because the TA can win the mid matchup, they can a little bit snowball and maybe take an early Roshan.
A bad Omni are banned, right?
Abaddon and Omni.
They're
Yeah,
definitely
they've got to
gonna
be. I would say that we would.
Abaddon and Omni Knight are banned first phase. So for Shacklo, I think we're looking for a Shacklo here or for Gambit, right?
Correct.
Timber, Brewmaster, and Darkseer are the only ones still in the pool.
Okay. I mean, Darkseer maybe, but it's really bad Darkseer game. I wouldn't mind a Greaves hero for sure.
Yeah.
It's tough.
How about?
Yes, Shiver.
I was raising my hand. If you would like a Centaur axes, you know, those type of offlaners. What happened to those? Why are those not good anymore?
I'm fine with anything that's
Oh,
aggressive.
I like that. I like that a lot. Beastmaster, you have BKB Piercing Disable, which is quite nice. Slark, TA, Beast all provide vision in different ways. It's so much easier to play a game against Bat. Bat requires a vision advantage to be truly effective, and now you have multiple methods of ensuring that you're going to be the ones with map control. Plus, TA Slark both love having that aura. It's an easy sustain item buyer. You wanted something that could pick up a Vlad's. It's the perfect pick here. I really like it in this scenario.
Yeah, Ember likes stuns that he can kind of stay ahead of. And while Beastmaster's Roar does have an animation, you can see that coming. It's still a range stun.
Yeah.
So you can't really feel that good about when you like commit into a fight. You want to be able to commit just a little bit more. There's always going to be that Roar presence. He has to play a lot more in and out than he wants to.
But Legion can purge it off.
That is true. And the lane is also should be good for Legion Commander. When I remember I
and
played
Rubik
that.
can steal it.
It's good, but I think Beast owns the Ember Spirit. This is nice. I was going to get to it, but PL Naga were the picks here.
Yeah.
Naga,
PL got banned.
Yeah, exactly. And Naga's it. You wanted an illusion core because you're playing against TA.
Yep.
You just can't deal with it. You own Beastmaster as well because you have such high armor and the ability to harass and kill boars. Slark can deal with Naga, but at the end of the day, you always have a sleep. How do you burst a Naga down before she gets the sleep off in this game?
It's definitely really tough. Like, they don't have any obvious, they don't have any good disables coming out of their offlaners against Naga, right? Like, neither the TA nor the Slark feel like good about attacking that Naga Siren. My question is like, do you feel good about everybody else's game on Geek Fam?
Well, I love that we have this shot because you can see Gambit, like their coach, still here as 6 now talking about how they want to play this game because it's tough. You need to hit a tempo timing and take the game before Naga really comes online.
Yeah.
Manta Diffusal, all of a sudden, I don't care what Gambit's advantage is, team fights are somewhat equalized. Once you get to the Butterfly Heart, all of a sudden you just really can't deal with a Naga at all. However, once you get to the mega late game, the vision advantage from Gambit should pull through. Plus, Slark at level 25 plus is just nuts. I really like Gambit's lineup again, but they're definitely on a bit of a clock, and there's a lot of single target pickoff on Geek Fam, so you got to play smart.
Dude, does Beastmaster Tiny beat, Bat Rider 5 plus Naga?
No idea, but I would imagine that they'll at least be able to pull creeps. So it should be a trade. I think that's what we'll see there. I expect the Slark Lich lane up top to win, and then the mid TA versus Naga, another very high skill matchup, but I'd lean towards GPK. I think he's.
You don't think Rubik Legion can win that lane?
No. After I saw what Kuro did with Slark yesterday, or with Lich rather, I don't think anything can beat it in the safe lane with a melee hero that has catch.
Out of all the heroes we've talked about, a couple are the the usual suspect. TA, always good. Slark, great. Lich, great. Tiny, great. Gambit has them all.
Yeah.
The only one that comes in that same top is the Rubik on the other side. Sure, it's nice, but Gambit looks like they've got a nice, well-rounded lineup.
Yep. I like it. I'm leaning Gambit here. I think they might run into Naga problems, but if they can execute well, I think they're going to have a much better laning phase, and that's key for this team to succeed.
I also lean with Gambit. I just feel like the first 4 picks from Geek Fam, a little bit too hard of a game.
Yeah.
All right.
Very single target as well.
Well, let's see if Gambit can indeed force out the game 3. Let's head over to OD Pixel and BSJ.
Thank you very much, Shiva. Yeah, interesting to see what we are going to get this time round. The end of that last game for Gambit, it was rough, right? A very sort of abrupt GG and then sort of tapping away. Coming into this game 2, Do you like what Gambit's done here? Do you have sort of similar doubts that you did for Geek Fam last time? Even though Geek Fam did indeed prove us wrong and show us a very strong.
Yeah, last game I did doubt what Geek Fam was bringing, but they are just the best drought team I've seen so far this tournament, so they proved it that they knew how to play that draft. This time around, I've been harping on Legion Commander picks since like the last month since the patch came out, and I think the only thing that makes Legion not remotely terrible is her press the attack skill. And who are you pressing the attack on? A Naga Siren, an Ember Spirit? Like, you don't have these like man-up right-clickers on the side of Geek Fam to even make use of this Legion. I feel like they have a bunch of counter picks with like the Ember Bat against the TA, and they have like this Naga Siren who's really good against the Beastmaster TA, but none of their heroes go well together. They were talking about teamfight on the panel. I have the issue that like, what is the synergies? Like, you can't even Rubik lift during a lasso. Like, you can't, like, there's just so much randomness in this Geek Fam lineup that I think they were so focused on what Gambit was doing that even though this Beastmaster, I think, might have a rough start because he's against the Bat Rider Naga, he goes so well with his own lineup. And you have the Lich with the TA and the Slark, mainly the Slark to enable him to go in the mid game. I'm just gonna say Legion Commander bad hero. I don't think it can win games unless like the draft just looks incredibly in favor of that team. And even though last game I did favor Gambit's draft, I'm like heavily leaning towards Gambit's draft this game. So if I'm wrong this game, I will definitely be learning something, is what I will say about this one. I think the Ember snowballing from the mid lane is probably their best chance of winning. I think Ember could take over this game quite easily and cause TA some serious issues, especially since Beastmaster is expected to have a rough start. So that for me is Geek Fam's win condition as I'm watching this game, because he will be the one responsible for enabling the Naga Siren to get to the point that Kyle was talking about.
Well, we'll see. Obviously, this mid laner, GPK last game, despite the loss, he was giving us a very solid performance on his Magnus. As the game went on, though, Carl's movement as that mid laner with his Razor play was pretty disruptive for Gambit to be able to deal with. Every single fight, Carl was there to clean up. And being on the Amber, definitely a hero that can be executed in a very similar fashion with the way you can expect to see him get active in that mid game.
Surprised that he took the overwhelming odds on the Legion Commander. I've seen a lot of Legions when they're in a melee matchup, they'll just go like 0-2-2, just because your other two skills level up so well in terms of efficiency that you're getting out of them, the passive as well as the heal, just because they both like don't go up in mana cost or they're absolutely free in terms of the passive. That skill, I've come to the conclusion that that point in overwhelming odds can really cost you in terms of trading once you hit like level 2 or 3. Slark and TA off to great starts, but by no means is anybody having any issues. Looks like they're dragging creeps for the Beastmaster like Kyle was talking about. I thought they might just run the Beastmaster safe lane in order to enable him, but a lot of teams are just choosing to, instead of doing that, just drag creeps.
Very nice little grab here for Kyle in the mid lane, getting that 2-minute DD.
Oh, the classic. But he's doing a good job of harassing it, though, so it doesn't matter if you have a DD if you can't hit the creeps.
They're getting a couple of side blade connected there, and another one. Kyle's got to be careful.
Butt clinched.
He's hanging back. Should have some more regen coming out in that courier for him in the mid lane. Carl's he's got the south. He's into the shadows and he's salving up. He will be fine.
But is there turn potential here? He has a support TPing with the Bat Rider. He's got the DD. Oh, the Melt Strike level up. Well played by GPK.
He just gets in under the tower, gets the kill.
Nice TP as well.
I mean, that was Carl. He just got side-bladed a few too many times there. Getting brought down low, and GPK seeing the opportunity to play aggressive, and it went unpunished. First blood and an easy kill for GPK.
Man, this guy's just a stud, man. Kyle's been praising him all tournament. I have no reason to argue that he shouldn't be praising this player. Definitely like the X factor for this Gambit lineup in almost every game they play. Last game we saw, he just wasn't in a game where his hero scaled well. And this game, his hero doesn't scale amazingly, but once he gets that BKB, he can absolutely take over mid-game teamfights.
You know, this is going to be annoying for Carl Vampire, just sort of positioning himself in a way that Carl can't really get back to the mid lane. This Tiny is just sort of being a wall. No, Carl, he's going to miss a wave or two because of Vampire just following him around.
Because he knows if he walks closer to the creep wave, then he's just going to get tossed onto the TA. And he tosses him into neutrals to even do some damage. That's pretty cute.
Trying to block him in there as well.
This is good stuff. you know he can't even fight you back because it's such a waste of Carl's time to do so. That, like, even if he's hitting you and you're taking damage, you're like, I dare you, just go ahead and do that.
And now that you suddenly just look at that disparity down the mid lane. 22 and 8 on your TA, 11 for 2 on Carl because of that whole sequence of events. That death into Vampire, just making sure that Carl couldn't get even a look at the creeps in the middle.
He's looking. I think the new toss nerf range cost him there. I think he would have gotten it onto that range creep to help his TA.
But still, this is just so punishing for the Ember Spirit.
It's almost better to not kill him.
Yeah, you're just keeping him at this point where Carl's got to make the walk back to base. So this is, it's been almost 2 minutes where Geek Fam effectively they haven't had a mid laner because Carl can't get there.
I think this is why we're seeing much less Ember nowadays. Not only is it there more popularity of root type heroes that counter him, but his laning stage is just too fragile. And even though you're like a conceptual counter to TA,
He's 5 minutes in there losing the tower.
It doesn't matter if you counter the hero with your Flame Guard against the refraction. If you're just losing your mid tier 1 and you're down by 2 levels at 5 minutes into the game, it just doesn't matter.
I mean, sort of looking at that to Geek Fam sort of say, all right, we've just got to accept that loss there, or bottom lane, they're also having a bit of problems as Dream will be able to jump in and get the kill. Or, like, is there a reason why Geek Fam haven't sort of positioned someone there in the mid lane to help out? Is there just nothing they can do about this?
It's just too early to help. It's just too early. Like, when he's this far ahead, you need the Ember 6, I think. I really hope to see right when Ember gets 6 that they try to make a move on this TA, because up until that point, you just have, like you saw, the Batrider tried to come and help mid, but the discrepancy between the two mid laners was so large that he just killed the Ember and got away. And that's why you have to wait till this Ember is strong enough to help you. And oh man, this is rough. I think this matchup should not be this bad. I think GBK has outplayed him, but by no means is this a good matchup in the laning stage for him.
6 minutes, tier 1 falling.
For TA. And TA is one of the scariest heroes to give this to because he can protect himself with traps while he takes your jungle.
Yes.
So he can just control the entire mid part of the map, kind of similar to a Broodmother in the sense that they're just able to invade your side of the map without being able to be gankable this early in the game.
Down bottom.
Or Venom plus the Lich Shield.
I mean, the side lanes, obviously, whilst we were sort of watching all that clanning around in the mid lane, side lanes are still going solid for Geek Fam, right? You have free farm here for Raven, also a free courier as he just wraps around the tower, takes down Shashlow's courier here. They do have the 3 of them. They might be able to set up kills. Gambit have TP'd in back up if the fight does kick off. MNG doesn't get a chance, though. Raven rips him apart here with the illusions as Raven's game continues to have an absolutely brilliant start.
This is good by Geek Fam. As I was saying, you don't want to try to help cores that are not helpful. In this lane, this is the one at the advantage. This is the one lane you're really winning. The one lane you can actually punish. The one lane I was concerned about in the draft from the Beastmaster against the Naga Siren Batrider. I will say they picked this Beastmaster hero knowing it wasn't going to have a good lane, so they wanted something that synergized well with their lineup, but it is leaving you susceptible to exactly what's happening right now. If they get their own tower at 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's just sort of the question, like, well, what are you worried about more? Are you more worried about your Beastmaster having a rough start, losing his tower before the 7-minute mark, or are you more worried about your mid-ember having a bad start, losing his tower?
The thing is, you picked this Beastmaster because it goes well with your lineup, so even if he doesn't have a fantastic game, he's still going to contribute to the heroes that are having a good game. But Naga Siren, 1,200 gold ahead of the Slark, most notably, and also 400 gold ahead of a free farming TA that got a mid tower. So that is the one concern in the win condition I had for Geek Fam, and oddly enough, I thought it was going to be the Ember's job to make space for the Naga. Maybe the Naga will just be so fat he can make space for himself. Yeah, that's a different approach to the whole same goal.
Yeah, and for Geek Fam, sort of relying on Raven to sort of just take the whole game on his shoulders, that is not a bad thing to do. Over the years, Raven is these sort of heroes. The Naga Siren, and obviously the one that sort of comes to mind in those previous patches, it was always like his Terrorblade. Like, you put him on one of these heroes, he'll win the game for you. And the fact that he's top net worth right now means that, for sure, the losses that they've had in the mid lane may very well not matter. If Raven keeps his cool, this is going to be a game that the Naga Siren can take away with herself.
Yesterday, we did see Naga unable to carry against a hero like Alchemist, which is just tough. Alchemist, Viper, these heroes that are hard to fight into. But this game, they don't have those type of heroes on Gambit. As they go on Cuckoo in the bottom lane, toss them into the Slark, still has the pounce, holding onto it as long as he can. Really good patience from Dream. Does get the permanent agility as well, so That's the reason why I don't like Legion against Slark anymore. It used to be a counter because you got the blade mail, you dueled them up. But with these early items, the early jungle items, the nerf of the blade mail against BKB, so you no longer really want to purchase it on anybody. A lot of the reason why I also think Legion's way worse than she was last patch, along with a hero like Axe, who we're not seeing really at all. I don't know if we've seen a single Axe this entire tournament. You just lose the lane to Slark, and then you're not the threat against him because you don't want to itemize the items that you used to buy to make his game rough. And this is why I love Slark so much this patch, but Naga Siren does match up quite well against Slark because one of the few ways to deal with Slark taking really long fights is just by burning all of his mana. That's why PL's traditionally picked against him, because even though you can't get away from that pounce and it doesn't hit illusion, so he can find the real one, if you just manage to burn his mana, he's forced to use like his ultimate just to not get his mana burn. It doesn't feel good to play Slark that way, but if Naga's the only farmed hero in this game, I fear that they can just focus everybody else down very quickly, and then the Naga will be 1v5, and Naga's just not the type of hero to do that. It is all in the Naga Siren basket, all the eggs.
No, they really are. It is on Raven to play his game. You know, Raven, as you said, that once he has a few items, you know, Gambit, they don't really have the best heroes to kill the Naga Siren.
No, absolutely.
So the only way of approaching it is to kill everyone else, as you say. And you say in that situation, you really don't think that Naga Siren is just not that, it's not that 1v9 hero anymore.
Yeah, no, Naga just doesn't do enough damage during the time that his teammates are dying. That's my concern. It's not like a Terrorblade where if your teammates are dying around you, you're just, you know, chunking everybody for 400 damage from 600 range or whatever. The concern I have is that there's going to be a timing where Naga's super powerful, and there's like this window from like 20 to 35 minutes where heroes that are 6-slotted can carry the game because the enemy team is not wealthy enough. As you see FNG going down for this D-Ward here, is maybe going to feed duel damage. Maybe a little bit impatient with the duel, does end up getting it. But back to what I was saying, it's just after that 35-minute mark where the opponent has 3 cores that all have 4 or 5 items, and the supports can protect themselves with 1 or 2 small items, you just can't do it. We saw it yesterday from the Naga Siren. But if Geek Fam can hit that timing real hard, where Naga has Manta Diffusal plus 1 item, that's when I am concerned that Gambit's lineup is vulnerable to just that happening. That is when I think Naga can effectively 1v5.
Raven's still very much in that top spot alongside GPK's TA. As I imagine the Deso must be pretty much done on him.
Why is he saving so many skill points on Naga? He has level 10 and he had 2 points not leveled. Kind of interesting. Debating whether or not he wants the song. Already took that now. TA, does he have the Deso complete?
It should be here.
Okay.
This should be the completed Deso, and maybe if he's got those branches, that completed Armwood tree as well to help him out. The Deso that he's that's done, and Gambit, they're already getting aggressive without the TA. In fact, elsewhere on the map, Vampire, Dream, and FNG looking to make the moves. They'll find themselves Dubu in the jungle. Some extra essence shift stats for Dream will be picked up with this movement. And they can set up to try and take the tier 1 and try and start to claim some of this map away from the Naga Siren.
Yeah, he is getting active a little bit earlier on than normal on Slark. Usually you wait for that defusal. He did go for the phase boots as well, kind of a last patch kind of build, but primarily physical damage as well as a lot of slows and kiting heroes on the Geek Fam side. So the phase boots movement speed active will be quite useful for chasing these heroes down. It does have the broom handle, which is quite nice for a hero like Slark, but I am just concerned about the timing against the Naga, but if they can just do this and pick on everyone else, this is what I'm concerned about. Is I was talking about why Ember Spear needed to make space for Naga. The problem is Naga does not make space for other people. So when Naga's your only farmed hero, this is what you expect to see. The discrepancy between Naga and the second place hero on the Geek Fam side is alarming. Ember is next with 4,000 net worth. That is just ugh. And on the other hand, you have this Slark, who even though he's not quite doing as well as the Naga, is just very independent. They're not going to mess with this guy. Like, he's not going to die to anything, really. They can just play away from him, and he can show up to fights if he wants to, but otherwise, Gambit's game plan is quite simple. Play the map efficiently because you have these mobile cores. Look to take Roche whenever Naga Sleep is on cooldown. They're definitely almost certainly going to be waiting for that. And just punish the rest of Geek Fam. But last game, Geek Fam did prove that they knew how to play around the Drow carry really well. Let's see if they can do the same thing with the Naga Siren, because I was talking about the weaknesses of Drow last game. They did a great job of alleviating those. Can they do the same thing for the weaknesses we've been talking about with Naga Siren?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a solid hope there, because it is really that style that SCA teams like Geek Fam are so strong. As anyone that's played with Raven in sort of the previous teams that have been on like the TNCs and such, you know, it's these sort of games that they will be able to take the win away with, even though that you know, with this draft and against this sort of lineup, a lot of other teams would struggle. They're just so strong at sort of playing this 4 protect 1 in a meta where for most teams that doesn't really work anymore.
I love the heat map of TA, just living in the mid lane and going between the jungle camps. That's pretty standard TA stuff. He does have the dark pack, but you can now remove toss, and you can also not pounce out of pounce. For those of you who are not aware, not an interaction you see very often, somebody trying to pounce out of a pounce. Only with Morphling and Rubik do you ever get to see that. But yeah, I like how they're punishing all the other heroes. I think Geek Fam tried to make a move, and like it doesn't really show in the net worth, right? Like the game is pretty even. It just feels like the pace of the game is in favor of Gambit. I will say though, if they do what they did last game where they overextend a couple times, the Naga Siren's going to be able to push in waves, protect the rest of his team, and suddenly this game's going to get real hard. Yeah. I'm kind of looking to see whether or not they feed before they get the Rosh on the side of Gambit. Do they overextend, or do they get the Rosh and collapse the map where the rest of Geek Fam is forced to play inside their base? One of those two things is going to happen, and I think it's pretty clear what team will be at the advantage based on which one does.
Yeah, I mean, and there's definitely the likelihood of that to come after seeing the way that Geek Fam were able to really shake up Gambit in that first game of the series. Gambit's got to keep their cool after throwing away that advantage they had in the first game. In the second game, things seeming pretty close. Just Gambit having that bit more power at this stage of the game.
The build. That's funny. Not usually easy to steal meld either. Didn't expect to have to buy detection. No invis heroes on the Dire side.
So Gambit can get with this. Another smoke into the jungle.
At the very least, try to force out Song.
See what they can grab. They'll go for 2 boots, drag him in with a Sinister Gaze. This will give the information for Carl to get out of there on the Ember Spirit. No carries will fall today on Geek Fam as they'll back off. Raven, honestly, he is continuing to just get so much space on the Naga Siren. It really seems like Gambit, they are approaching, as you said, they're sort of giving no attention to where the Naga is. Finally, GPK will come down and start to clear out this wave, but Raven's farm it continues to just be on fire. He's staying at the top, despite like GPK's incredible start in that mid lane. Top lane, Cuckoo, they're diving in for him. TPs are going to come forth. They're going to try and turn this one around, Geek Fam maybe, but can they do it?
Okay, Song is out.
Let's see what the setup is. There's Raven. Who's he going to go for first? Who's the target?
You're 4v5 right now.
See what they can have here. Jump forward from Carl. He's going to go for the slight play onto FNG. They've found one. There's the net. Raven's got the control on Vampire. Vampire getting taken apart by the illusions. The knockback, flame break onto Shashlo. Geek Fam, they'll get 3. Raven reads the situation perfectly, comes in, cleans up. His game just gets better and better.
Yeah, GPK had not even TP'd bottom, it looks like. His TP's off cooldown, but he has shown bottom, so I think that was really well played by Geek Fam to acknowledge that even though I said they were 4v5, they were not 4v5. TA was showing in the bottom lane, knowing that the most powerful hero on the side of Gambit, as well as the most damage, is not there. So even though they were able to dive and punish Geek Fam, I think that was a huge fight for Geek Fam, but at the same time, if Gambit can punish that by getting Rosh before the Song of the Siren is back up, I will say that was worth it in the end for Gambit. So we'll have to see what happens in the next minute or so. If they're going to look to use the smoke on the Tiny, looks like he has a Blink Dagger coming out as well. So this is a huge power spike for Gambit, a huge timing that they have to make use of.
I mean, Raven. He's got the diffuse. You know, he was doing so much damage there in that fight. He didn't have a diffusal blade. Now he does, and he's also found a Pupil's Gift. So you know, these Naga illusions, they're going to be very tricky to deal with in the team fights.
Very scary. Can they get the Rosh before it pops up? I think there's a Rubik stolen trap in there. I believe in the Rosh pit, based on the little red dot on the map. So that's actually a very big deal, something I did not consider. They're looking to smoke up instead. Or they are just hitting Rosh, but they know about this because of that Rubik trap. It is indeed a Rubik trap because it's green.
I think Geek Fam, if they see, you know, Gambit starting to commit on it, now Raven's going to be happy to fight. His Naga Siren at the moment is very strong for this stage of the game. FNG, going to get the shield out on himself, going to turn around, throw up the Chain Frost. The Chain Frost from Vampire will keep FNG safe for now. That is a Chain Frost down from FNG. No kills to be found with it. Dream actually having to use the Shadow Dance as well to get away.
Did not get Phantom Burn, as I said. That's the unfortunate part about playing Naga, or Slark against Nagas and PLs. you just can't afford to have your mana burn. It's like if you hold your ult, even if you're full health, you're just going to have no mana to use it eventually anyway.
And that's sort of little play, that's bought time now where Geek Fam, they've got the song back online. So suddenly that Roche opportunity, it's been shut down.
Yeah. So that whole fight that occurred top for Geek Fam did not get punished using that song as a setup in order to win it. Very good for them. Vlad's done on the Legion. He's just going to be an enabler this game. I honestly wouldn't mind if he never even buys a Blink. Like, you just buy all the aura items for your team if you want. It depends on what they want to rely on. Do you rely on the Bat Rider initiation, or do you think you need the secondary initiation from the Legion? The only reason I say you don't even have to buy a Blink this game necessarily is because you have the other source of initiation from your Bat Rider.
Yeah. And you look at sort of, at the moment, GPK, level 17, sort of 4 levels ahead of everyone else in his team. Same to be said for Raven, this level 17 Naga Siren.
Naga usually isn't very high level either.
So he just had so much, they just let him be. He went down bottom, he had that whole area of the map to himself for a good sort of 5 minutes, it felt like at least. Raven's just had so much space, so much farm, and I'd say at this stage, I'm much more scared of the Naga Siren than I am of the TA. Like, this Naga Siren, I feel that this is a hero that can kill the TA. He gets on top of this, he's going to kill it. It's hard for GPK to keep the refraction up, find the real Naga Siren. TA, it doesn't necessarily kill a Naga Siren very quickly unless he's got huge amounts of control around it.
I just can't believe how well Geek Fam was able to recover after the nightmare that mid lane was. The top lane going as poorly as it did for Gambit was my concern in their draft, and it just shows like the momentum they lost because of that has really opened up the map for Geek Fam, and now it's basically an even game going into the 20-minute bounties as well as the outpost. We might see an engagement here. Looking at Carl, they do have a lot of burst damage, but they choose to go for the Legion instead. Misses the toss back roar on a Cuckoo.
Only gets it onto the creep. Dream will turn, see if he can finish the Legion off in time. Cuckoo will go down. A buyback straight away from Dubu as he wants to get back and involved in the fight. Raven, you could see the Naga Siren, she just gets on top of whoever she wants and they cannot escape her.
They can't touch her because they have so much counter initiation from Geek Fam with the saves as well as just the backline damage dealers. So if you focus the Naga, by the time she's dead, oh, this is a huge kill if they can get it, but they burn all of his mana. I was wondering, I'm like, they missed the pounce in order to get close, but they do burn all of his mana in the meantime. I was going to say they lack the ability to kill Ember super easily, but when they have 2 or 3 heroes on Gambit, he will die because of the Sinister Gaze from Lich.
See what they can do here.
Oh,
Raven.
no ult.
I mean, no mana on Dream. That's the mana god. Raven just turns, he's killing off the slot. Dream's trying to run. Can he get away? The Frost Shield will help him a little bit, but the root's out. Raven cannot quite reach him, so this game drags him out, but he doesn't ban it. Zephyr nukes down Dream with the Fade Bolt. They just can't touch the Naga Siren. They brought 3 heroes here to try and deal with the 2 of Geek Fam. And Raven, he does not care at the moment. He is so far ahead, so huge. I think this is a huge problem for Gambit.
Yeah, that's just crazy recognition of how powerful they are. With their Ember Spirit dead, they know that. Bat Rider nowhere in sight. And there's like, us against the world, baby. Take him on. And I think they believe that there was no way Naga was going to die before getting sleep off. So like worst case scenario, if that went to shit, basically, you just sell a song and get out.
See, Shasha just find Dubu with the Roar. And Dubu will be dead for quite a bit. Did buy back on that early engagement up top, so down for a full minute now.
Yeah, on the Bat Rider. He does eventually need a Blink Dagger. Gosu AI telling us that is 9 minutes faster than the average on TA. He did go for its second item, or like I consider it second item because you always go Blink Deso, right?
Yes.
So second item technically with the BKB. Sometimes you'll see people go for like the Orchids or the Hurricane Pikes. So definitely showing how early he felt he needed to go for a BKB this game. They did deward the Rubik Trap in the Roche Pit, or D-Trap the trap. How do you call that? What do you removing the trap? D-Trap?
I don't know, what do you call someone that takes down traps? I don't know. And indeed, Vision favouring Gambit now around this pit. It's a scary place though, right? Gambit can't really go for this.
Yeah, the
and at the same time, Geek Fam, they don't really kill the Roshan that quickly themselves. So it's sort of one of those games where Roshan's only going to get a bit of action when like a team gets team wiped, or there's been a considerable team fight victory.
It's funny because it's going to be a heavy point of contention, but it's also a massive stalemate, as you were saying, right? So everyone's keeping their eyes on the Roche Pit as well as that key objective, but it's just not worth it nowadays to potentially go for Roche and put yourself in that vulnerable situation. He is forced to go for a BKB on Slark. I don't know how I feel about this SNY, to be honest with you, just because it doesn't really... I would have either preferred Ags or the BKB. Kind of a bit of an all-around item. They are just going to try to blitzkrieg this down. They are scanned out, though. They know. It's so fast, though. If they get sleep, though, they're going to, I mean...
They're not getting here in time.
BKB on TA to secure it.
No messing around. They'll take the Roche. They'll get themselves.
They're going to see the BKB, though. They might try to fight.
See if they can do it. It blinks out. GPK's away. Raven doesn't want to try and commit yet with the song. The BKB now wears off.
They want to chase. They're anxious. No blink on. Oh, he does have the blink.
He just picked it up. Just got it before this Roche play. He's going to jump forward, look for GPK. GPK's going to turn towards the chain crosses down. They'll kill him off. Can they get GPK even the once? The frost shield's there protecting him, and they'll turn towards Raven. Raven's been tossed back. He's trying to get the song off. We'll find it. It's going to be a song and a TP away for the rest of Geek fans. They'll make sure they don't lose anything more than just Dubu.
That could have been even worse than it was for Geek Fam. This is the problem with Naga, man. Even just a hero like Tiny throwing an avalanche on all of your illusions, it's just so hard to solo carry the game past like 30 minutes. I said the window is about 20 to 35, so if Geek Fam can just make use of this next 10 minutes, despite the fact that Radiant has an Aegis, if they win one big fight on the side of Geek Fam in the next 10 minutes, I think their lineup could be heavily favored going into the late game, but this is the time where Gambit really decides whether or not they win. I know that sounds like a weird thing, but I feel like this game's going to be decided. This is an Aegis, so this will be a good proc of the Aegis if they can get it. Nice. Didn't get the dual win, but still huge. No one Gambit to be signed. Yeah, they're nowhere near.
He's got a BKB, and he has got the blink, and it will save him. There's another BKB usage down.
Okay, I was worried about the next 10 minutes, and that spells pretty good for Geek Fam so far. Forced a BKB as well as losing the Aegis. That is not what you're looking for. GPK playing kind of pub-like Dota today, or this game at least. Like when his team took the big fight top, he was just bottom with a TB, never showed up. They're playing way overly aggressive with his Aegis on the map. It gets the Orb of Destruction, though.
Oh, I mean, that's a very nice fight. But it does definitely feel for GPK, even though he had such a good setup with that beginning and mid, it's not like he just took over the game with that early advantage that he had.
Yeah, when you're leaving your team to fight without you and you're that strong and that farmed that early, I always have to believe it's on him. Like, I can't imagine the rest of his team is all wrong. It's usually the one player that could have just been better positioned on the map, maybe farmed a little bit too much. I really don't know the dynamic of why he's doing this. He was very farmed last game. He's very farmed this game. But last game, it clearly amounted to nothing. Will it be enough this game?
Because you can see it in the numbers, right? He's making his team do so much. He's 3-0-2. He's only been involved in 5 of the 13 kills that Gambit has, despite him being the sort of the real powerhouse for Gambit at the moment. They do get the jump on Carl, a quick play, catches down the Ember.
Man. They were waiting for him right there forever, and I mean, by process of elimination, mid lane's pushed in, bottom lane's pushed in. Where are they? You know, where do you think the rest of Gambit is? They're not doing anything. And just way overly confident there. Does get the Craggy Coat. Super good item on supports like Batrider. I assume that's who they're going to give it to.
Yeah, or maybe even on the Ember, right? That's a hero that can play with it nicely. You don't need the
It's not too bad on him. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Still 26 minutes in, less than 1k gold in it. It's just a question if you believe in sort of GPK to start to really pop off at this later portion of the game, or if you believe in Raven to carry this one through, as he has stayed there at that top spot, level with GPK the entire game with this incredible amount of farm and space that he's found very, very safely. And, you know, they haven't punished him at all because of how smart Raven's movements have been.
Yeah, the fact that he's on par with the levels is the most shocking thing. Usually with illusion heroes, because your illusions don't gather experience and they're the ones usually clearing the waves, you're usually behind in the experience front, even if you're keeping up in the net worth. But Geek Fam looking to get something done with this 3-man smoke to the top lane. Shotshot chilling in the trees. The rest of Gambit is already out of here. Do have to be careful of your Vlad's aura showing on the creeps, but they clearly do not see it. Maybe he even backpacked it.
Let's see what sort of a jump they can find. Gambit already heading into the trees. Vampire will show his location there with the avalanche, but keeping himself the right side of the tree line, so Geek Fam can't quite make a catch.
Even though that smoke didn't get a kill, look at the wards that they were able to get up on the side of Geek Fam. They took over the hill, kind of setting up for the next 7 minutes to control the Roche area once that respawns. I like that move a lot because it's just a map control smoke. A lot of times when you're watching these games and a team doesn't get a kill with a smoke, the best smokes in the game are the ones that if they get a kill, it's awesome, but if they don't, it still accomplishes something very clear. And in this case, I do like that move by Geek Fam because eventually as Dire, you do want to rotate to the top half of the map in order to have Roshan be your point of control. And once you take that tier 2 bottom on the Radiant side, there's just nothing for Dire to play with bottom other than the Ancients, and it's just not worth it at 28 minutes in the game, generally speaking, to only play for the Ancients. So Dire Roshan, much more important objective. But yeah, doing the classic mirror thing, Gambit getting forced out of top, so they're playing bottom now.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
It is, even though a 2K net worth lead for Gambit, usually the team that has the mid lane pushed in is the team I consider to have the map control advantage. And as of right now, that is Geek Fam.
Yeah, they've got it right up and in position to start knocking at the tier 2 tower.
There's going to be cunning creeps on Gambit. I like this. It's pretty much what they have to do. Make sure that even though Geek Fam appears to be pushing in the mid lane, as I said, they're actually not because neither team has any creeps. Roche not going to be spawning for a while, so there's really no punishment for Gambit to be putting all of their resources into the bottom half of the map as of right now. So will Gambit like make a smoke or some huge rotation in an attempt to retake the top half of the map? It's kind of what I'm looking forward to happen next. Butterfly done on Naga Siren. I don't believe there's any MKBs in sight.
I think the GPK is trying to work on his right now. He's got the Hex stump.
They know there's a ward there because Slark's ulti's off. He's pinging it. Or I guess that was actually FNG pinging it. I like how he's just spamming his Dark Pack, pounces away once Dark Pack's off cooldown. Or on cooldown. Really smart use of Slark there.
Well, they know that at least Shashla was a little bit far away from the team, but he's able to get back towards the rest of them. So Geek Fam not able to quite start the fight that they were hunting for, as Gambit are positioned here on their side of the map.
Oddly enough, instead of Gambit trying to overtake the top half, it seems like Geek Fam now trying to take over the bottom half.
Raven's going to look for the wraparound to start something out there. He's going to go straight away for the easier kills. FNG doesn't stand a chance. Immediately taking out Kuku. He's gone for the dual control there onto Dream, but Dream did get the BKB out. Tubu, the follow-up. That's so. The BKB is still good for Dream, keeping him alive. A buyback comes out straight away from Kuku. He wants to get back in and involve Raven with the song. Is a song and sort of just creating the distance. They don't want to try and fight this now, being without Dubu and being the fact that Kuku had to use the buyback here. They've got the control. Vampire tosses back Raven. Do they have the damage though? This Naga Siren is so big right now. He's in fact, Raven, he realizes Raven could turn. Dream jumps in. Dream is dead. Vampire's gone. And you can see it, they just don't have an answer for Raven. He could just charge in with the rest of his team, take them apart piece by piece. GPK is dead as well.
This GPK item build, I am not a fan. That sheep stick, I think that might even be game losing, that item, because you just can't kill this Naga. And even though I said that the goal is to like isolate the Naga with him being the only hero left, eventually you do have to kill the Naga Siren.
Yeah.
And, like, I think you're the sole source of damage. I can tell you from a Slark player, it doesn't work that way. Your hero just doesn't kill the Naga. No one on your team other than the TA is going to kill this Naga. You had to go, in my opinion, like Bloodthorn, MKB, Daedalus, these types of hard-hitting items to make yourself a threat. And I thought that fight was going to go well for Gambit. They just over-pursued. I didn't even notice the Scythe coming out from the TA. Maybe that got them a crucial kill, but even then, man, I am not a fan of that item at all.
You just look at the numbers, you know, still these two at the top. Now Raven, after the back of that fight, is starting to create a bit of a difference. But just, you know, it's close, you know, 23k, 22k on these two cores. But that value, it seems so much scarier on the Naga Siren compared to what we're seeing from GPK right now. This TA doesn't seem to come anywhere close to the presence that Raven has in these fights.
Not often do I try to harp on players like GPK this much, but when you're this farmed and you're the only hero farmed in the game, you have to ask yourself, what problems does my team have to address in the opponent? And right now it's the Naga Siren. You do have to address this, and the fact that he put a fourth of his net worth, which he's the #1 on his team, it is his job to carry this game. I think it's useless. Like, yeah, it kills the other heroes, but it does not solve your problem. I almost think they can't win because of that. Like, I know I said at the start, like, I'm going to learn something about Geek Fam. Raven controlling the hell out of this game. And
yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm telling you, it's been so, over the years, you know, there's sort of the period where Raven, I can't remember what team he moved to, but he wasn't necessarily on one of the top squads anymore, but he had the whole streak with TNC, he just has consistently been this carry player. Where you given these sort of games where you secure him the safe lane, like you can trust in him to just win the game for you.
Yeah, he seems like a game winner.
He absolutely will be that sort of objective, that man you have to protect, he'll do it. He's not going to slip up. He hasn't died this game.
Going for the reach around, but I really like how the Geek Fam side is positioned, but Legion may still go down. Does he have buyback? That's the big question.
He he brought back for the last fight. So 90 seconds, no cuckoo. Raven's going to start to go to work. He's found Shasho. Shasho
They
has
have the
the
dog.
Can they solo Raven out? Turns here, GPK used the Hex onto Zephyr. Zephyr's got 2 dead on Geek Fam. Raven using the song, wants to back off. They're 3 against 5. Say the wall. Okay, the illusions will do it. Does mean that Dubu goes down as well, so Raven at least able to pick up something, but overall Gambit back to getting on top of the fight. Buybacks are coming out. They know Roche is there. They want to make sure that Gambit doesn't get away with taking Roche on top of winning the team fight. The net's out onto Vampire. A bit of a poke from Carl. The illusions are being sent in by Raven. Telekinesis drags Vampire back into the clutches of the Naga Siren. Another kill for Raven as they now push Gambit back away from the Roche pit despite losing the initial fight. Smart buybacks. They know that they can get in, look for this themselves. It's hard for Gambit to take a fight against them. If Raven's there hitting Roche, they can't kill the Naga Siren. So if he's there on the front lines, they cannot take the fight at all. This should be a safe Roche for Geek Fam.
I don't know if you can afford to give this up. It looks like Gambit thinks they have to. As I said, as long as Raven is not 100% isolated, the backline threats, the disables, the damage coming out from the rest of Geek Fam, you cannot focus this guy unless it's quick. And I saw the Sheepstick paying off in terms of picking off Zephyr, but I really just don't think that's enough. I think the fact that the BKBs are dwindling, TA is probably down to 5 or 6 seconds for the Gambit side, and the fact that the Naga did not have to itemize BKB this game. Yesterday against Fighting Pandas, we did see the Naga Siren have to itemize a BKB for Gambit, but in this game for Geek Fam, he does not, which makes him scale even better. Too afraid to go for the Zember kill. I almost think they could have gotten it, but they probably would have paid a heavy price. Getting caught by the rest of Geek Fam closing in the gap. And at this point, you have the Orb of Destruction as well as the Solar Crest up on FMG. He's actually pretty farm for a Lich. That Philosopher's Stone is paying dividends on him.
I mean, just look at this, you know, bottom lane, Raven's just pushing out on his own. He feels that confident. They're going to try and make a go on him. He's got the cheat, pops it back up to full, and look, it's more than enough time for Gambit to get across and look to help him out. Raven, he gets the soul up, but the BKBs are there. Can they kill it? They can. They finally get the Naga Siren. They kill Raven for the first time this game. They'll get Dubu as well. Zephyr tries for the TP out, will make it. But Gambit, they'll get 1, they'll get 2, they'll get 3. Cuckoo gone as well. GPK
Those are all
finally
buybacks
having
too.
the impact that they need.
Legion no buyback. Batrider just bought back. In my mind, I'm like, how the hell does Gambit win this game? But as we were talking about Raven being a game winner, that's a game-losing play if I've ever seen one.
I guess, I mean, when he hadn't died, right, he felt confident pushing out. He felt that he could buy time with the cheese and the song to allow the rest of his team to come to his side, but he was too far away.
That Radiant Ward next to the Ancients was crucial because they knew that nobody was behind him. So they just all out committed. If they can't see anything, even if he's alone, which is why he's playing that way, I have to believe, if they can't see anything, they're not going to go on.
Oh, this is painful. This is so painful for Geek Fam.
So much damage, man. Backdoor. What is that?
Oh, he's going to get tossed back. He has got a red.
The pounce up like he can't do anything.
He silenced Carl, dragged back the sinister games from FNG. Calls down the ones.
They have to be careful. Everyone on the side of Geek Fam is respawning except for the Naga at 20.
They're going to do it a second time. Jump forward. There's the Hex coming in. As Carl is dead for 85. And that one miss, you gotta feel bad for the guy. He's been playing his heart out the whole match. That one mistake is just cost his team the middle racks.
I would have to say that this game is not 100% over by any means, as I thought it was in favor of Geek Fam a second ago. Both teams have immense amount of playmaking potential in terms of stuns, initiation, burst damage. So what I will say is, no matter who's ahead at any given point in this game, both teams also have a decent amount of building damage now that Naga Siren has gotten up to the 6-slot territory. This game could go any way, either direction very quickly. People were complaining at the start of this tournament as well from this patch that games were stale and that you could tell who's going to win at 10 minutes. I feel like the last couple series as well as the playoffs so far have proven otherwise. I didn't really think that of the patch, and I was wondering if like maybe pubs for me were just particularly exciting. But these teams have shown that like there is dynamics to this patch that I feel like have left a lot of mistake opportunities for both teams. And people are proving to make mistakes, and I think that kind of has to do with how many objectives there are on the map, how much options there are to play around. Data is now done on TA, so all the damage issues I was concerned about because he bought the Scythe of Vise are no longer part of the case here.
I mean, just sort of draw back to that moment down bottom. I mean, who is taking the blame on GeekFam? Is that Raven for being there, or should his team have been with him?
I mean, it's one of those situations where maybe his team should have been with him, but because his team is not with him, he should not be there. That's how I always look at it. That's how I always look at it. It's like maybe it's originally the team's fault, but it's your job as a carry, as a core player, to adjust to what your team is doing.
But it's a 40-minute game. It's hard to stay perfect for 40 minutes in a row.
And he pretty much had been until that point.
Absolutely.
Dire are scanning.
I will say, like, from a personal... Oh, here we go. Chains onto the Slark.
Both teams have got everything ready to go. Vampire tries to go for the top spot. Will be able to get Zephyr into the Hex. Rubik in trouble. Kuku jumps in. Offers the same. Zephyrs able to get back on the high ground. Chancellor trying to go in on the back, but he's dead. Gets the Rubik kill, but he's dead for 80. Dubu will fall too. 2 dead on GeekFam. Raven popped the song. He's trying to keep the rest of the team safe. The 3 cores of GeekFam on the retreat. Gambit's going to look to try and chase. Do they have enough gap close to get any of these big catches? Vampire's going to have to blink back up in 5 seconds. Raven, he's got to keep his distance. Will get himself back towards the high ground. In fact, Raven, he's starting to think about turning, poking here with the illusions. The chains onto Vampire. I mean, they're still posturing aggressively here, GeekFam, despite being down in numbers. They're poking, prodding at Vampire. I think they've poked enough for now. They'll hold back. Gambit as well. Don't want to try and go for anything else. They realize the GeekFam's very, very battle ready at the moment. Secure themselves this. The outpost back down bottom, make sure they have got both of them on the map for that 40-minute mark, so knocking down GeekFam's experience gain that little bit.
Haste rune for TA. Double runes are spawning, so we have to pay attention to those. I'd say like DDs, haste, these are pretty clutch runes this game. So moving forward, those could be a decider in a lot of these fights. I like the E-Blade from the Tiny. Anybody who gets dueled up, anybody who gets netted by the Naga, not only himself, but his teammates he can save. You're probably not going to worry about focusing your cores. You're going to look to save the other 3 heroes. This is almost like a TA Slark versus Naga situation where everyone else in the game is supporting cast. And it's like both jobs, or like both teams have the job to kill the other heroes first. And you can't really afford to focus the Slark or the TA because you have the Lich behind. He's so much damage mitigation with the Solar Crest plus the Frost Armor, as well as the Tiny now with the E-Blade. And on the other side, as I said, you can't really afford to focus the Naga Siren. So both teams are kind of on this like try to kill the supporting cast situation, 2v1 on cores, but Naga Siren, I get more and more concerned for the solo core as the game goes on. Despite the fact that Ember is on par with Slark in the net worth, that hero just does not represent the same thing this game because he just dies so quickly to the damage of Gambit, while Slark does not die that quickly to GeekFam. Both teams smoked up.
So makes the jump, Dubu. Gonna get the initial to jump onto GPK. Is there any follow-up though? Doesn't look like it. Dubu will go down. Dream does put the BKB rather early. He's gonna look to try and fight under the cover of it. Moving in with the Shadow Dance. Turns towards Raven and his illusions. Won't be able to quite find the real one as Raven backs off.
I command you.
Both teams losing a support. Maybe Gambit losing another here as Vampire. Trapped by the root. They've got the duel. Vampire's gone. Double kill for Raven. GeekFam back to taking the fights on their terms. 2 dead on Gambit.
Once again, Roche is going to be the sole focus. The next one's going to be the 3rd one, so it will be a Refresher Shard or an Ags. If it's an Ags, both teams could make great use of that. In my mind, it's mainly GeekFam with the Rubik, as well as even potentially the Ember Spirit. Prince's Knife coming out. An item that seemed really powerful when the patch came out, but most of the time I see it just sit in people's backpacks. So curious if they're going to use it. I don't know if it procs on Sleight of Fist. If it does, that could be pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure it does. Obviously, it's it's a bit tricky to use, right? You do it with a creep wave. You're not going to get the Hex reliably on the target. But in those sort of chase situations where you're only hitting the one, it can give you that extra bit of catch.
Moon Shard consumed by GPK, Havoc Hammer found by the Naga Siren. We did see earlier that MKB timing pretty standard for TAs. It's pretty funny that I have to assume that all MKBs are somewhere between the 30 to 35 minute mark, because right about that time you do plenty of damage, but you need to hit the guy who bought the butterfly almost every single game. BKB done on Ember. I am still concerned he could get bursted by the Sheep. The Flicker from Shotchlow, you cannot use that while rooted, so he will have to use that before he gets netted. But it is quite a nice mobility item just to cause some chaos in the fights for GeekFam if he doesn't get locked down at the start. Leveler on Slark, 50 attack speed, as well as the building damage, more so about the attack speed. Remember when that gave cleave?
But did it in the first
yeah, the first like 3 days of the
how much
patch.
cleave did it give? Like
it
a
was
decent amount?
like more than Battle Fury cleave.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that was funny as all hell. Like in a game like this, it was just game ruining for any illusion hero.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly. If
they did a good job of changing that.
Yeah.
It also gave splash to ranged heroes, so not only was it like
oh yeah, it did. I remember. Yeah,
so
the
stupid.
ranged effect. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there was a lot of busted stuff at that initial patch.
Yeah, they've done a good job of fixing it, but both teams smoked up again.
Dream up the mark.
Roar
Shash's
up on
gonna go for
somebody.
the roar. Stubu. Stubu tried to go in for an initiation with the lasso, but Shash though was that little quicker to react. Pops the roar. We've seen this a few times. You know, Doobie's trying to start off fights. He never gets out of it alive. Okay.
Nice
Carl.
toss.
Starts to use the BKB here. Jumps in. Trying to
snipes
grab
there.
that arcane, but Vampire's able to pick it up in time. Dream though on the back lines. What was he doing? He tried to start a fight in a totally different dimension, and Raven says no.
Nice tip. That's a value tip right there.
That's a tip to tilt and a half. He was just so far away from his team, feeling overly confident, committing in like that.
I guess he wasn't afraid because the Bow Rider's dead, but you still have instant disables from the Rubik as well as the BKB piercing disable from Legion. So by no means should you feel that powerful.
This could be the Roche opening. No, carry down.
He has to buy back on Slark. You cannot give this up. So much mobility coming out from the Rubik, even a 4-step on the Legion.
Raven with the micro, he's kept the illusions on FNG the entire time. So they've had vision to set up for another kill. Now the buyback comes out from Dream.
Okay.
They do get Zephyr, the second buyback.
Oh.
FNG ready to join the fray, but Raven's got the song ready to go. It'll be a song and a reset. Geek Fam getting back up to the high ground. We'll see how they want to try and poke at this. Song ends, immediate BKB. What? Dream is terrified of there being a further jump, but there wasn't. So now his BKB, it's gone.
Yeah, the dual threat, even if he gets dueled, he had the BKB before he got dueled, because if he dies there, that's like GG. So it looks like a really weird BKB initially, but if he gets dueled without BKB there and dies, yikes. So he definitely, in my mind, almost had to use it there.
Raven just keeping the illusions in the pit, making sure there's no chance of Gambit getting in there themselves. And we'll head back, push out the mid lane. So for Gambit, it's the harder position to make a move. The fact that Dream has bought back.
No song, so they're not as scared to go into the Roche pit, but it's still quite intimidating. The initiation from Geek Fam. 3 hard lockdown single target disables, as well as the scouting from the sticky napalm and the sleight of fist. Those illusions doing a nice 4 damage per hit on the Roshan.
Slowly bringing it down. Very, very, very slow.
You know, an hour later, it'll be dead.
That's one way to deal with the illusions.
That is one way. I like the way FMG has been playing on Lich. Whenever he gets caught, he just like no hesitation chucks his ult out, making sure he gets all of his spells off before he dies. The agility Vambrace on Tiny.
Raven's pushing in. Gambit, they're looking for the wraparound. GPK, can he set something up? He's going to start pulling the creep wave in. He's going to be the one jumped up first. At the telekinesis, he's losing health. He's down to half. On the mount, turning to Raven. Raven's the focus for Raven. He's too big to deal with. The roar comes out for Chester, but Raven keeps the army moving forward. Can't commit with the BKB. They've taken down GPK. They've taken down XS Vampire. Both buying back immediately. The song.
No BKB, no ult.
They surround Dream. Dream's in trouble. He needs help, and he needs it now. Gambit, watch for the sideline. Cuckoo tries to jump in. He'll jump into his death. Zephyr falls. Cuckoo bites back. Zephyr does not have buyback himself. Gambit, they surround Raven, but still Raven is just full HP. Janstro trying to walk away under the cover of Imbus.
GPK hop back.
Vision. GPK's in the river. Refraction won't save him. GPK dead for 2 minutes. And Dream, he's out of the ladder. The room goes for Raven. Then dead is down. Dream is dead as well. 2 cores dead for 2 minutes. Geek Fam should be able to easily clean up the mid lane, probably the game, almost certainly the series, as Gambit, they cannot fight back with these 3 heroes they have in the game.
Wow, what a back and forth game. This has been an exciting game to watch. You know, I favored Gambit's draft again, but Geek Fam not only surprising me in the drafts, but just they are playing so well. Looked a bit shaky against RNG. Maybe that's a tribute to how good RNG is. I really don't know, but Geek Fam coming back strong today, beating the #1 seed from the other group. I mean, I was obviously assuming they win this game. The repair kit is going to be a little bit of a thorn in their side. I think this game does get easier now that both Slark and TA, it's not like their buybacks are short of gold. This is cooldowns. They both used it there, stunting their progression into the late game, even if they do last long enough.
Anyway, they can buy a minute.
That repair kit could be game-changing.
They did cut the creep wave. Vampire got in and he shut down the mid-creep wave.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was the Vampire there.
So that's going to slow it down a little.
Wait, what?
That little creep skip, I mean, it's enough that they're backing off.
I don't want to get ahead of myself here. I just said Gambit losing 2-0, but...
I really thought, I mean, you know, it's 48 minutes in. Both cores were dead for 2 minutes. But that little creep skip in the mid lane, Geek Fam, they can't end the game quite yet. Gambit are going to live to have another chance this game.
They don't have nearly enough damage to go through backdoor like Gambit does, so they definitely need that creep wave. Is this an Ags or a Refresher Shard Roshan? We're going to find out. Like I said, we're going to find out. Roshan going down. Very nice studio, as we've seen numerous times. We'll just have to wait to see the inventory of Geek Fam here.
We'll see who's managed to pick up the items. I mean, it's a huge sigh of relief that Gambit's players are going to be able to breathe. Holding on in that position.
AC almost... Oh, AC is going to be done on the Beastmaster, it looks like. Some big items actually coming out from Gambit. Despite the fact that they just lost a big fight, those are some pretty crucial ones. The AC, as well as the Lotus Orb.
I know, I think it's the Ags on the Ember, right?
Going for a Rapier on TA, I like it.
Ember got the Aghanims because, you know, look at Carl's net worth. He's now level with GPK. You know, at the beginning, it's a distant memory. Now, with that Aghanims buff,
it is factored into the 6,000 that you get from the 4,200 plus the 1,800 recipe.
That's why you've seen the big jump up, because 11k ahead. When they were pushing down mid, I think it was only like a 2k difference.
So. Yeah, it is relevant in terms of buybacks, that Ags is worth 6,000 gold. Does make your buyback that much more expensive. They do see the Geek Fam wards, so Gambit's very aware of where Geek Fam is on the map right now. They are going to secure both outposts, the reverse denial at the 15-minute mark of XP. Is relevant. The level 30s are by no means bad for either team. Ember definitely is probably one of the best heroes in the game for level 30. Both of his level 25 talents are quite good.
Level 3?
Sorry, level 30. Level 3 as well. The 2 points, well. The 2 points Flame Guard, that's exactly what I was saying. You know, relevant at 50 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
Bloodthorn queued up on Naga Siren, already consumed the Moon Shard. Does not benefit your illusions, the Moon Shard, so kind of like a...
It does, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. You don't get the... If you consume it, you
you're
don't.
right. Sorry, if you consume it.
Yeah, the consumed Moon Shard does not. So even though it's like nice and all, to get 8 slotted on illusion heroes, not nearly as viable. Almost confused.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Oh, you learn something every day. Because I knew it was, what, about a year back, right? You know,
that they started giving the attack speed, yeah. But for whatever reason, consumed Moon Shard does not.
Okay.
Yeah, regular Moon Shard can be quite nice, but usually on a hero like Naga, you're never buying Moon Shard, and then until you're full slotted. Does go the full Bloodthorn. Is he going to get caught on shots, though? It looks like Carl's unaware that he would have accidentally hit him with the Sleight of Fist there, too. It would have been pretty funny if he did that about a half second earlier. The oh shit moment, there's a guy here. Maybe we can get him.
Suddenly getting into pretty crazy territory this game. 51 minutes, one of the longer ones we've had at the minor. Still looks, you know, very much with that last sequence of events to be Geek Fam's one to close up. FNG with the quick reactions, grabs Dubu in.
The flicker!
He tries to flicker away.
I was watching Insania's stream where he was using flicker in those types of situations, and he's like, please game it. Yeah, that's so funny. I love the fact that I've actually seen it in a pro game now. Yeah, it's like 50-50 to like have it be in the 180-degree vicinity of the opposite direction, but instead he just goes straight into the opponent base, not what he's looking for there. But luckily it is a 5-position bat. People have been prioritizing more so support bat riders, recognizing that a hero's kit's still quite good in the later stages, but it's really hard for a core bat rider to feel comfortable just blinking into the opponent at this stage in the game, so only losing a 5.
Yeah, it's not too much more. Right? He's dead for 40 seconds. What's Gambit going to be able to do in those 40 seconds with dead bat rider?
They have
it doesn't matter.
Map control on the Geek Fam side.
You sort of take those chances. You roll for those plays. Maybe it's the catalyst to sort of allowing your team to win the game. Maybe it isn't. You die. Who cares?
And at this stage in the game now, there's actually something to play for on the map in terms of farming. You're just trying to get your level 30s. On the side of Geek Fam. That's really their next power spike. The supports are still waiting to hit level 25. Complete control of the map. Gambit stuck inside their base. Efficiency game will be going in favor of Geek Fam despite the fact that they're losing, or they already lost their mid-racks. Raven, no boots build. Pretty standard stuff at this late in the game.
We do have the good old High Python being queued up by GPK. At least he did just a minute ago. He had that rapier that he was looking towards. We'll see if he's able to get it. He did have about, you know, he had enough money in the bank, and he's obviously got to be careful because both him and Dream buybacks are going to be pretty much there. Dream's already got his back. GPK is going to have his in a minute and a half.
Interesting Deso coming out from the Ember. I think he's only doing it for building damage, because at this point you have a lot of plus armor items. You have a tiny. I guess TA and Slark are kind of relatively low on, of course. What's the go?
A little bit of all chat here from Dubu.
Oh,
just giving away the timings.
Reminding Gambit of when their buybacks are back up.
Let's see if Gambit can keep Geek Fam off these racks. The illusions are slowly doing it, but the repair kit, I believe that's the, yeah, it was the last one, wasn't it? It's going to slow him down just enough to keep the melee racks alive for a little bit longer.
I like how Slark's been using this illusionist cape, I believe, to push out bottom, which is interesting. Just putting it in his backpack and then putting it back in his inventory.
Oh, they get the jump. The Hex. It's another death for Dubu.
This one's actually allowing Gambit out onto the map.
Which he's got 10k gold. He wants to spend his money, GPK.
Yeah.
I mean, if he does go for the rapier, what's he dropping for it?
Probably your boots, I have to imagine.
Just play with that boots.
Most of the time, that's what you have to do on course. Eventually, Valve's going to give it, or Ice Frog's going to give us a consume boots item. You know, you just consume
Don't give them any ideas, Brian.
Sorry. The fact that they're able to deward the 2 clip wards. Oh, they're looking for more, actually.
Let's see if they can do it. As you said, they feel like they can maybe make something happen whilst there is Dubu dead.
They're looking to punish the no Naga illusions, and then he just has them again.
So much money now on some of these cores. You know, Raven as well, just chilling with 9,400. It's got to get to the point where probably is even worth him consuming Aghanims. You know, that heal could be nice for his teammates.
Yeah,
to reset fights.
This is why most games don't go to 70 minutes, because cores are looking at, 6 slotted, 7,000 gold at 50 minutes.
Yeah,
so.
like where do you go from here on some of these heroes?
Will we get to see the neutral items? I have not seen them yet.
I don't think we've ever had them in... Well, definitely not in a LAN game.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe there's been some online leagues where there's been a 70-minute match, but at least firsthand, I've only ever had the chance. I played in one in a pub game, but only one. And I
have not
played a lot
played
of
in any.
You've
I have not
played
seen any of them. I've literally not witnessed them other than in like highlight videos you see on Reddit.
But you know what we have had? We have had a lot of games that get to 55 minutes. We talk about it, and it never happens. Oh, Carl! He's hexed. Is there any save? Cuckoo's trying to get in. The BKB will be popped by Carl. He's able to jump away the remnants. GPK and Dream, they're both committing their own BKBs, turning towards Dubu. Dubu gets over the trees, but Dream pounces in. Dubu's gone. Another death for the Bat Rider. See Gambit sort of
they have to get the hell out of here.
Carefully. Without their BKBs, they are vulnerable. K tries for the connection with the sleight of fist, but he won't find the targets. As Gambit, they're able to make sure they escape.
Wow. I thought Geek Fam was going to be able to punish them with no BKBs, even just Song of the Siren on top of somebody. No ult on Slark either. Massive thing for them there was because of the Lincolns, they all tried to proc the Lincolns and then disable him, so they overlapped like everything. Roar, Sheep, Lich, Sinister Gaze, everything was used at the same time. And that's really the only reason that Ember lived. And a bit of miscommunication from Gambit, but by no means is that easy execution this late in the game.
Look at this current gold on everyone. Everyone's just saving. Everyone's got so much money.
Invest in the future.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of money. He just brought the rapier.
Nice. He on discount.
I believe so. He's just gone down to 11 get 5k. He's picked it up. GPK. He must have. So we'll see. If they get that jump, his Hex into the hard hits with that rapier, that'll do it. And of course, rapier, nowadays, very nice. Gives you that true strike against the butterfly.
I forgot about that. You're right. Maybe he'll even drop the MKB because of that.
Vampire?
No toss target didn't need required here. He does have Eon Disc, though.
See if they can kill him. Dream's in. Cuckoo, he's got Raven. Could he do anything to help? He cannot.
Okay.
Sure, they've been killing Dubu a few times. That's been whatever. But now they get a core. Cuckoo's gone for 2 minutes. This gives a good amount of breathing room for Gambit to get their lanes back in a good position.
Yeah, we were talking about that both teams have so much initiation, so much pickoff that no matter who's ahead, no matter who has map control, the other team will have these types of openings if they can find you out of position even slightly. Instant disables now from the Sheep Sticks on both sides. Even Naga built one. So he did drop the MKB, like you said, because of the fact that Rapier now gives True Strike. I totally forget about that, man. It's actually a big buff to Rapier.
It is.
You used to have to go
Which
MKB
I
and
like
Rapier.
to see. I love to see, you know, we all love to see
Who
more,
doesn't like
more
rapiers?
encouragement to picking up the Rapiers, and this definitely a game where it's absolutely the right move from GPK.
They really should have nerfed its damage to 322. They really should have done that. Because they buffed up the True Strike component, it would have been perfect opportunity.
One day, Brian.
Yeah.
We'll have more of the meme numbers in Dota 2, I think.
Please. The only real kind of meme number, it's not a meme, but like the fact that Elder Titan's ult takes pi duration to proc.
I mean, that's
like the only, like, you know, somebody was really having fun with that one. But
you got to also, well, the smoke cooldown in the shop.
Oh, yes, the 7 minutes. Blaze it up for 20 seconds. I'll say it out loud.
There's a lot of memes in Dota. That's why we love it. And that's why you beautiful people at home tune in for it as well.
Pocket Ricky.
Everyone's got a buyback pretty much. Yeah, they have now. This is what I like to see. You know that both teams, they're going to be comfortable finding a fight because they've got something to fall back on. Gambit's getting outside and maybe for the first time in what feels like probably like the last 20 minutes, get over onto GeekFam's half of the map. Toss back. Still a bit of time to play. Raven.
Oh, the song.
He's got the save. The slide up to the high ground. Dubu will live. They're going to try and fight this. Carl. He's jumping in. He wants to get the fight going. BKB's popped. He's trying to stay on top of FNG. A defensive remnant will be thrown back. Silence onto FNG. The Lich is left behind.
Does have buyback. Roche is going to be spawning soon. I believe it's in the window now. Yes, it's in the next minute. They don't know exactly when, but it looks like it's about as late of a spawn as it can get, which is in favor of Gambit in this case.
Who are we giving the Agnemus to? I mean, maybe, yeah, why not Dubu? I guess Dubu's been dying a lot. But if he gets like that multi-man
maybe he won't die if he has the confidence of the Axe.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
We'll see. But they're still looking to make... Oh, Vampire. Oh, he was trying to cut the creep wave. But GeekFam, they were prepared. They were ready to turn and jump on it. You could see what he was trying to do. When he did it before, it did keep them in the game. But this time, making that move, when GeekFam... they were right by him.
He did have full ward vision there too, so they had to be smoked right there to punish that. So as derpy as that might have looked, he definitely is not as stupid on paper as it looks.
All right, Dubu, letting us know again.
AoE press the attack now for Cuckoo. That's a big one with a hero like Naga Siren. I was talking about how press the attack's pretty crappy this game, but now that he can do all of it,
Oh, you see those hero damages again, thanks to good old Gosu AI. 31.4k done by Dream.
That's pretty underwhelming, 60 minutes into the game.
60-minute mark.
Oh, Ember hits level 30. I like it. I've never actually seen that in a pro match where it lights up all the...
It's very satisfying, isn't it? Just seeing the whole thing filled up.
This is like my Christmas tree.
Dream's having to put the BKB very early on here. Still 70 seconds before they get the lasso. Jump in for Doobie. Does get trapped out by the Citizen Gaze. Dream's in trouble. He's hexed up. He's dead.
Does that buyback. Tiny already does buyback. They have to be careful. GBK is the grand prize here. He already has that rapier up.
It's close to 30. Did the 30 do much for TA?
Refraction charges.
Yeah.
Movement
He's going to need a lot of them.
Actually, he already took the movement speed, so refraction charges.
Meld dispels.
Meld dispels actually
anything
pretty
good
big
this
here.
game for?
You get rid of chains. You get rid of sticky napalm. Fade bolt. That's definitely not very relevant at 61 minutes into the game.
Should be an easy rush for GeekFam. They have the map control with those deaths and Gambit just having to hold back on the high ground. This will be the Aegis and the Refresher Shard.
Ags maybe up on Naga here? I don't know. I don't think you give it to Naga because he's just going to buy... Yeah, Rubik. Okay, good.
Oh, did the Rubik not have one yet? He didn't have one.
Yeah, Rubik did not have one, so he now has one. That's pretty big. You also have the Refresher Shard. It looks like Batrider takes that for now.
All right.
But that could be handed off at some point to somebody else if
I mean, hey, you know, let him have a second chance with the Flicker if he gets unlucky the first time. You know, oh, damn. Refresh the Shard, Flicker again, and then maybe gets it back to safety.
I love the items.
Who did you give the Flicker to? I don't think he's holding it at the moment.
Yeah, I think Batrider still has it.
Okay.
The funny thing is, I think it's in his backpack. The funny thing is that you, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, that all the supports, we were talking about how like both teams are trying to focus the supports. All the supports have such funky items. Even the Legion has like Force Staff, Ghost Scepter, Eon Disc. Very odd items, but when you really think about how the game needs to be played for both teams, it does make a lot of sense.
That's a second full set of racks taken away from Gambit by GeekFam. They're playing confident. They know the Gambit. 3 of their buybacks have already been used. Jumping onto K. Can they kill Carl? He's dragged in, hexed, and killed off the one. On the backlines, the roar down to Cuckoo, but the Eon Disc keeps him safe. They'll try and focus Carl a second time, but the BKB and the song from Raven allows GeekFam to now look again and position themselves. Dream will be able to pounce back before they can make a commitment after the song ends. So Dream will survive. Jumping onto FNG. Dubu's in, commits with a lasso, gets the kill. Dubu will not lose his life. The E-Blade saved. Dubu's going to be able to get out of there. But Raven, he's charging in. The duel's used. They've caught Dream. Dream is dead without buyback. They're down to the last 3 here, Gambit, as GeekFam push to the base. GG is called. And Gambit lose this second game. They lose this series. GeekFam 2-0 here. It was a long one, that second game. They tried their best, Gambit, but overall, it was just too much. The start that GeekFam had. Raven
pretty much 99% of this game, he played it perfectly. This Naga Siren was far too much for them to deal with, and then at the end of the game, 60 minutes in, the whole team, the full 5 of Geek Fam, it was just too overwhelming for Gambit. They just didn't have the means to deal with the team fight that Geek Fam were bringing at this late portion of the game.
Yeah, hey, you know, man, after the start of this tournament, the only complaint I had was one-sided games, and Geek Fam showing up today, and these were 2 exciting games. I thoroughly enjoyed both of these games. Props to Geek Fam, man. I gave Gambit the advantage in both drafts, but Geek Fam, you know, the reason why we're up here on the analyst desk is because they understand their lineup better than we do, and I mean, even with that one play bottom, I give so many props to Raven and how he controlled the early game. Not very many carry players can do that, where not only are they farming, but they're controlling the entire game, setting up everything for their team, and you give them the one slip up. You know, there were a lot of reasons we talked about during the game.
You know,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, props to him, props to the rest of Geek Fam going forward. Impressive showing. Gambit's going to have to crawl back through the losers bracket, and we're going to find out their opponent quite soon.
Well, there we go. A very, very great start to the day here from Geek Fam. 2-0 as they will knock Gambit down as they'll continue to sail on at the top here at the WePlay Minor. Well played, Geek Fam, indeed.
Yes, well played. That was... It looked a little bit shaky for them at some points, but that made the game all the more exciting. Great series to start the day with. I'm here with Capitalist and Kyle. And, I mean, we, again, just like Brian, we gave Gambit the edge in the draft, right? It started out okay for them. Apart from, like, it started out great with GPK killing that Ember, and basically Ember, like, Carl was being bullied hard by Vampire.
Got destroyed middle. Oh my God, GPK. That man can play some TA. He is constantly impressed, even in the games Gambit lose.
I think it's impressive that Carl was able to make that comeback. I think towards the end of the game, he was like one of the first people to level 30, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that he was able to recover from that kind of dumpstering in the laning phase, I think says a lot about him and one of the strengths that we probably haven't seen from him as a player, because I think he's done a good job outplaying a lot of mid opponents, but now we see that he has the mental fortitude to bounce back.
And to me, that's the biggest plus for having a mid. Like I always think back to that iconic Sumail game from TI5. He's playing Storm against Squap, dies 4 times. Somehow, 15 minutes, he's ahead. Like that's what makes a champion mid player. You've got to be able to take advantages and collect wins, and also know how to recover properly when you get smashed.
Yeah,
I love games like these where it feels like we just have like 6 or 7 really late game team fights, and depending how the initiations start, how the team, who they focus and etc., like the outcome changes. You know, we saw like one of the first fights we saw as part of the late game was them winning a fight by initially killing 2 heroes on the side of Geek Fam, and the song goes off and they pursue, then they get like 3-man wiped or something like that, and it becomes like really apparent like, hey, this Naga Siren's like too tough to bring down. We have to focus on some of the surrounding
and that's the problem with just really Naga in this game. You look at the Geek Fam lineup, it was 4 heroes that needed this last pick hyper carry that you could play around. And the problem is that Gambit need to have they need a higher degree of execution to win fights. Because you need to like tactically ignore the Naga and then flip to killer. I was doing the math with Rich. Like once you got the evasion, Naga had like 4,000 health, 33 armor without any auras next to him. Plus the evasion, like it's like 10,000 EHP, and it's almost purely physical damage that Gambit have in the lineup. So eventually you're going to make a mistake. Naga's like, oh, hey, I have 6, you're dead. Oh, you're netted. You're dead too. Oh, you're roared. Or not roared, rather. Like, you're lassoed. You're dueled.
But, I mean, people were roared as well coming out from the Rubik. He had a good time with that.
True.
Very true.
There was, I mean, you playing a support against those late game Naga Sirens just feels terrible because you, like, there was this one time where Tiny's just snuck in and snare. You can't go anywhere, and the illusions start making their way towards him, and he's like, no, 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 please, no. And there's nothing you can do. Some of these support heroes just get washed up by illusions, and it's free kills. It's easy team fighting, to Kyle's point.
I mean, you're saying that let Naga be alone and just do her own thing, right? As Gambit, they let her do her own thing, but she was rolling in it, like she was doing real well. Raven had a great game.
That's what makes it so frustrating to play against these style of heroes, like the Huskars, the Meatbows to an extent, PL, Alchemist. You have to kill them. They're the ones killing you, so you commit. you overcommit, but it's only overcommitting because the guy just doesn't die. And then he turns around or there's a song and she's like, ah, shit. The one time they got Naga was when she was 5,000 units away, completely alone in the bottom lane. And there were 5 heroes that still took 15 seconds, all of their abilities plus BKBs to actually take her down.
Yeah, it was a good series to watch, not just because of the heroes and the dynamics and the fights, but I really liked seeing GeekFam being on the same page. There were some fights where, for example, Raven songed and he only songed for maybe half a second, which was enough for him to save his teammate, and then they could re-engage again and fight again, and everybody knew that was going to happen. You know, you could feel that they were all on the same page, and I think that's super important moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think communication in team fights looked pretty good for GeekFam. There was a couple of times where they're off page where, say, Raven getting caught at bottom, being so isolated.
Hey!
But, hello, sir.
Look who it is here.
Unfortunately, we don't have a seat for you.
But we do have a microphone.
We do have Kyle's lap, I promise.
Yeah.
It's very comfy.
Look, you can take this seat.
No, wait, no, take my seat.
No, just take yours. You guys
please
sit.
take my seat.
I'm gonna stand.
Okay.
Okay. Congratulations,
yeah, sure.
first of all.
Nice.
So, talk to us about how it's been going, because obviously it's going great with this game and this series. But overall, it's really nice seeing you guys online again, and I just want to hear how it goes with the team and you.
I think now, since we got the new mid player, and then our mindset coming in this tournament is for just improving. Yes, and then I think results coming up naturally, so I think it looks okay.
It looks okay.
Yeah. How does it feel to be NA's last hope in the tournament? You specifically.
Not sure. I'm not sure if I can handle the NA's pressure. Yeah, I just want to be just player. Maybe some monkey in C.
Oops.
So
hold out your hand. No, like this.
Sorry.
Dude, you can't do that. He's a professional player. If he has insurance, he can literally sue
he's got
you.
more matches to play, Kyle. Come on.
He's still playing later today as well.
Oh.
Since we haven't seen a ton of Carl, we obviously know he has a long history playing all the way back in Dota 1, but I haven't really seen any interviews or anything with him. Can you tell us a little bit about Carl?
What I know about him is that he has very high mechanical skill. That's all I know. Maybe because I never team up or I never play with him. Maybe other Raven or Cuckoo knows him more.
Didn't he play with Raven in Dota 1 when he was 11 years old?
Me or him?
Him.
Maybe he did.
Yeah, because he's been around. He's one of those guys. He's got a decade of experience. I'm surprised he's been under the radar for so long.
So it sounds like you just haven't gotten a lot of time to actually get to know him, kind of as a person yet.
As a person, he's kind of shy.
Okay.
And then, but it doesn't mean hard to get close. He's pretty good guy. Yeah, hip, good boy, guy, whatever. Yeah.
And for example, in that last game where he was the Ember, obviously played a big role in the game. Is he loud? Is he quiet? Does he just do his own thing?
He's if he's owning, he's very loud and he's shouting, and then they cannot hear me, just go, go, go. I'm so strong, stuff like that. Yeah.
What about that game? Because he got kind of bodied. So he just quiet
at the start,
in the jungle,
yeah.
hiding in the trees.
It was okay from the start. He was laughing around. This guy, the tiny is when he's chasing the Ember all the way, he's laughing. What is this guy doing? And then ha ha ho ho. And then after I lost the mid tower, it was a bit silent for maybe 3 minutes. And then after that, he come back. So
I'm curious. You've played now in effectively every region, NA, Europe, SEA. I've heard the sentiment that it's a lot more fun to play in Asia. Do you agree? Specifically on pro Dota teams.
Yeah, I do agree because I think their players are pretty limited. I'm not only talking about I'm not talking about only for pro players, just for the normal players. There's no new blood, so it's kind of stuck. Yeah, so it's more fun playing in the sea. Yeah.
Cool.
Now, your next opponent is going to be either RNG or Nigma. That's the next series that we're going to watch. I'm assuming obviously you've played versus RNG. You've seen Nigma play. Who do you think you're going to face?
I don't know, whoever is stronger. Yeah.
No, it's a 50-50 for you.
I can't tell like until match come up. So
Okay.
If you were to face RNG again, do you feel more confident about a rematch? Do you feel like you learned something from the last time you faced them?
yeah, I think we have the better prepared than last time. So
One last question. What do you think, like just 5 seconds on the patch? Do you like it, dislike it, Dota more fun, less fun?
I read the patch note, and then it wasn't so big anyway. It's just like some little nerf here and there, and then I don't think it affect too much. Yeah.
And what about the whole, like with all the neutral items and all that, like this whole patch?
Oh, I'm having fun playing Dota right now. Yeah, because I get to play more heroes, because there's not really like position 4 and 5 right now.
Dude, you also get all these items. I'm so jealous. You have like 2,000 health and 10 and 11 slots for items.
Yeah.
Have you had a 70-minute game yet?
17?
70. Have you had the tier 5 items yet?
No, I never had.
In a pop neither?
Not even pop.
It's disappointing. Sad. Maybe maybe someday. Right. Thank you so much for talking to us. It was really good having you in our little cabin. I'm going to let you go back to your team so you can rest and prepare for the next match. And I'll take the microphone from you. Thank you.
Bye, Dubu. Thanks.
Thanks, Dubu.
Thanks, Dubu.
Don't forget to shut the door on the way out. It's a draft.
It's cold out there.
Good guy.
Yeah, always a fun interview. I loved playing against him back in pubs. Was a big reason Abed was the first to 10K as well. Just a stalwart captain, good guy, and I'm glad he's having fun. Cause there really isn't much fun in NA Dota, and I'm glad he found a new home.
Yeah, I don't think Gambit is feeling that fun right now. Of course, they get not eliminated, but knocked down here in the playoff bracket.
She was hungry.
Food on the brain. So yeah, they get to play again today. At the end of the day, they'll face the loser of RNG Enigma, and that will be our next series. And we're gonna also just have a little bit of musical intermezzo.
Oh no!
Yes,
God.
A Christmas musical intermezzo.
Mute the stream.
I know
Mute the
what's
stream,
coming.
guys. Don't listen to it.
A lot of people are really busy on Christmas with family, but my family, for the most part, is pretty small. There's no busyness or flirt. Like there's not a lot going on. It's just very pure. Everyone's on vacation from their jobs. I think it's like a deep breath. Take a step back, appreciate what you got, and sometimes appreciate the new things that you get. But the big thing for me is just a little bit of time I get to spend with my family.
You see, I actually used to hate Christmas. I worked in retail for so long, and I always had to work on like Christmas Eve, Boxing Day. For any person who's ever worked in retail, Boxing Day is the worst day to work, and everyone has to work it. But now, I don't know, just my fiance. I think like that's it. Like just spending the holiday season with the right people. I think that's what it's about now for me.
Oh, the weaver outside is frightful, but the bounty's so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it slow, let it slow, let it slow. He doesn't show signs of stopping, and I bought some illusions for popping. The health bar turned down low. Let it slow, let it slow, let it slow. We finally had a good fight. Now I hate going out against Storm, but if you really give us a sign, we fight through a jam and they swarm. The Weaver is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still bye-bying. Oh, Valkyries, I beg you so. Let it slow, let it slow, let it slow.
Rick Gaming Esports, professional esports house maker.
smarter with Gosu AI. Add a bot to your friend list and find out how good you are. At Fong, at teamfights, at laning, and much more.
Welcome back. We're here for the Book of El Minor 2020, and we are here, of course, for WePlay. We are in the first round of the playoffs, and I'm joined by two fresh faces. I guess, Brian, you're not entirely fresh. You just commentated the first series, but Synderen, fully fresh face.
I'm feeling fresh. I wear the freshest
You look
clothes,
fresh, Brian.
hang out with the chillest guys, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know. I've read the text.
Yeah.
All true, of course. All the texts that we read about you.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
All
The memes that I somehow, people ask me how they happen. Even Rich yesterday, who doesn't, he doesn't know me all that well, is just like, how did these arise? And I was just like,
You're like,
I don't know,
but they're true.
They're incredibly accurate, yes.
Yes. All right, we are going to watch a series that is between two teams that, well, even though Nigma didn't make it top of their group, they're still considered to be one of the best teams, if not the best team here. Same thing goes for RNG, who did top their group. So yeah, RNG versus Nigma, blockbuster of the day. Not an elimination series, mind you, but it should be an exciting one nonetheless. I want to just start this off by just hearing you guys' opinion about how you think this is going to go down, because we've seen both teams, but they've been very different in their results and in their play styles, and obviously because they had different opponents as well. What's going to happen?
I mean, the fact that GeekFam just 2-0'd Gambit says a lot to me, either that GeekFam improved drastically from yesterday or that RNG really is just a step above everyone else here, because they just wiped the floor with GeekFam yesterday. So the big thing for me is Nigma's only played against Furia and Fighting Pandas twice. So they haven't really proven anything either way to me. Like, they've definitely proven they were shaky, but nothing about the good or bad is that definitive when you've only played really one team of quality. No offense to Furia there. So that's what I'm looking for in this series is RNG as dominant as they look, and is Nigma capable of giving them a run for their money?
Yeah, I think looking at RNG, after the first 2 days, they're my favorite to win the whole thing. They, they look better than everybody else. And what I want to see is what happens if they get pressured. Because that kind of hasn't happened yet. It's easy to look amazing if you're stomping every game and you never even get to play minute 30 to 40. I think all of their games ended before that, maybe bar one. I don't even know if a game went past 30 for them.
Yeah, they've had a couple sub-20 games.
That just destroyed the opponent completely. Based on both draft, laning, everything, they were just better. I think Nigma are learning day by day. I think this will be RNG's hardest match so far, but it's hard to not call them favorites based on what we've seen. So.
Yeah, the difference here also being we have, to go off in terms of information for the teams, of course, same as well. RNG has played 4 games. Nigma has played 8. There's a lot more data on Nigma, and some of the games were very fought for Nigma. So maybe a lot of information in there for RNG to prepare for their opponents here.
Yeah, I think the only information you really have on RNG is the Huskar. They're clearly not afraid to just crush you in the laning stage. I don't think many teams have really drafted around that. I think a lot of teams, their game plan really consists of either being highly mobile with these Slark TAs that haven't really done that well so far, or the heavy 5-man we've seen with the Drows, the Omnis, this type of stuff. Really, from what I've seen from RNG, their plan has it. They have a lineup that's cohesive, but it really is focused around just straight up just destroying you in the first 10 minutes of the game. And I think that's something that Nigma is vulnerable to having happen. And we talked about how their kind of goal is to be stable through the laning stage. So if they can get past that, maybe they'll look good.
Yeah, the other thing maybe to keep in mind as well about RNG looking so good is that I feel like they've kind of defined the meta in this tournament. They're the ones who have made Abaddon and Omni Knight first phase pick ban just because other teams are like, okay, they might not be the only team coming in that felt like these are first picks, but they've been picking them in their games when they can, and they look the best with them. So we should maybe say it with a grain of salt that they're as dominant as they are, because they might just have been a step ahead in terms of draft. They just know which heroes are better, and that's what happens in these tournaments that last a couple of days longer, is that, well, other teams get time to adapt, maybe try the same heroes, just realize, okay, these are more important bans than what we went in with. You started banning Io and Trian in the start, now we're seeing it consistently being let through. So,
all right, well, let's see something else. Let's see the stage.
Thank you, Shiver. The team that's going to be sitting in these chairs right here has been putting coal into the stockings of every team they have played against. We've said that other teams are supposed to be dominant, but this RNG team has been the one to show everyone else how it's done. Will they continue that? Will Nigma be the next team to have coal in their stockings? We're going to find out. First, let's see what RNG has been up to here at the ski resort. Please welcome to the stage, RNG!
Welcome on stage, Royal Never Give Up.
Next, we have a team that has said we weren't sure if we haven't worked out. We're not sure if we are the best team just yet. But late last night, they booked their ticket to be able to play today. But will they continue to play as well as they have against a team that is performing like they were supposed to be? Let's find out what Nigma has been up to. Please welcome to the stage, Nigma!
Welcome on stage, Team Nigma.
Only one of these teams can say after this match that they are on that hot streak, because we're going to be talking about maybe Nigma as the team to watch out for, or will it be RNG? Let's send it back to the desk and find out who they think is going to win this match.
Who do we think is going to win this match? We've just been talking about all the contrast that we've been seeing. For example, a gingerbread cookie sweater for the stage host that is hyping up the crowd. You know, it's unusual. And in terms of contrast, I feel like these two teams definitely have a big contrast between them as well. First of all, it's a TI second place squad. Actually, most of them are still TI winners. Let's not forget that part as well. And they've just underperformed a little bit. RNG, they didn't even make it to the previous minor major, but they have been crushing it here so far. So a bit of contrast there as well. I'm just hoping that the series is going to be even, because I think that is also what I just said. RNG hasn't really been tested. All their games, even if it didn't end in 20 minutes, it actually did, but it just took them that long to get high ground. I hope that won't be the case this time.
I think, like I said before, I'm pretty sure this will be the closest series they've had so far. Not necessarily because Nigma play way better than the other opponents that they've faced, but I think that relative drafting advantage is narrowing down day by day, even series by series. So Nigma will have some good plans coming into this. I still think RNG, based on what we've seen, we can't call Nigma the favorites here. Theoretically, you can, based on star power, based on previous accomplishments. But even in their victories yesterday, it was still not clean. Like this game against Fighting Pandas last night, They had a big lead in the third game, struggled to close it out, eventually did, but it's just not the crispness that we've become so used to with this team.
Yeah, the thing is, though, going into a series like this, which team do you necessarily favor? The one that's been kind of sitting cozy the entire tournament, like RNG, or the team that has been through the grinder the entire time? And I think if the game goes the way RNG's games have started, it's going to be ugly. And in favor of RNG.
For the Nigma fans.
Yeah, exactly. But if it gets down to like a brawling out game, kind of like we just saw in that first series, I might favor Team Nigma just because of the sheer amount of experience that they've had so far this tournament in those types of situations. But I will say that they don't look clean. I think that's the major thing for me. It's not just that their games are close, but they are slipping. There's clearly lack of communication sometimes where one guy goes in, the other guy tries to dip out of the fight. And RNG seems like they're really on the same page. Like you said, though, they haven't proven that past like the 20, 25-minute mark in a game that's close. Exactly. And it gets harder and harder as the game goes on.
Well, let's not forget that the previous tournament where Nigma, then Liquid, was looking rocky in the group stages, started out in the lower bracket, did end up being second at TI. They actually crushed RNG on the way to the top as well with a 2-0 there. So there might be some bad memories. Not entirely the same squad for RNG, but only 2 players different. I want to talk to you guys about some player comparison, and then mostly, I feel like we're coming back to that a lot this tournament so far, the mids. I don't know exactly why is it that we keep coming back to the mids? Is it just because there's so many new ones? Because we had Carl and Tanner, of course. Weeha, quote-unquote new. We heard Kuroki actually talk about it. It's like they're still finding their way and making it fit. Someone who's not new and who is, according to a panelist earlier today, has been getting free reign every game is Setsu. So Setsu versus Weeha. Let's start with those two.
I think the reason why people are talking so much about the mid lane is because the game's just so fast that if we saw in game 2 of last series where if the mid lane's lost, unless another lane is crushing, like last game, the game just gets out of control. And what Setsu's been doing is not only have they been winning his mid lane, but the other lanes go even or winning as well, and he just walks around the map, crushing everybody. And I think Weeha has been relatively inconsistent so far from what I've seen. Really looking good on heroes like Wind Ranger, and then not so much on some of the other heroes. So I think going into this, because Setsu's been given so many favorable matchups, and because Wee's been playing relatively inconsistent on a wide variety of heroes, meaning that his pool is really limited, I think that is kind of setting Setsu up to get the matchup he wants, because it is relatively predictable what he's playing against in the mid lane. So that concerns me, based on the way RNG's been winning games, and that being the dynamic I think is going to be in the mid lane.
Yeah, Weeha has definitely been... It's weird, because I think for the most part, his laning in this tournament has been pretty good, and it's been the later portions of the game where he starts being out of position, wrong place, wrong time on the map. We had it... I think there hasn't been a game or at least a series with Nigma where I haven't had this feeling like, man, Weeha should not be here. Like he's dying to a smoke that's kind of, it's not necessarily obvious that it's coming, but he's not near his teammates, right? You're in that state of the game where you want to play together as a unit, or he's pushing the side lane too deep compared, like maybe not respecting his opponents so much, and that can be both a good and a bad trait. Like you need to be confident and feel like you're better than your opponents, but at the same time, you can go too far. I'm curious about this mid lane though, because what I've seen from him in particular compared to other mids, he plays hyper aggressive in this lane. Like he's way more about ruining your game than getting his own game into a good spot. That's why heroes like Wind Ranger are perfect for him, because she's not generally happy with drawing. She wants to just hit you, trade some CS, whatever, but get you out of the lane. And maybe Setsu hasn't faced that kind of aggression yet.
That's a nice challenge, though. Should be focused on that for us, I think. Or is there going to be other players that are going to catch your eye?
I just like the way that RNG drafts where their mid laner is enabled, but their carry is the one that is really like what the lineup's revolving around. So even though yesterday we saw the mid Huskar, there was a safe lane puck.
And Money was playing mid in that game.
Yeah.
I was going to say that was Setsu on the puck again.
I'm saying, like, they're putting people, like, in that game specifically, Huskar was the one.
Yes.
But I'm saying, like, they're adjusting the way people are playing where... Like, the puck became a 1, though, like, the way he was playing. He was crushing his lane. They're doing it for the lane matchups. Like, they're not afraid to get kind of thinking outside of the box with the way they approach the laning stage. And, like, the game where he was Lifestealer on Monet, like, he just hit creeps for 15, 20 minutes. That's kind of what he did on Huskar, too, other than taking some tier 1s. I mean, that game was over at 20 minutes. But either way, like, what I'm saying is they clearly have... They're just willing to do whatever that gives them the advantage in the laning stage. And I think that's what a lot of teams are kind of
rigid about, that is predictable, and I don't think RNG is. Nobody expected a last pick Huskar when you already have a mid puck and no clear safe laner. That's the kind of example I'm trying to give about the other players really enabling whatever, because most safe laners can't even play mid that well.
True, but that also kind of goes a little bit for Nigma as well, though, because Miracle and Weehaw have been maybe not switching positions that much, but definitely heroes. Like we actually see Nigma do best when it is Miracle on the hero that is supposed to set the tempo, rather than Weehaw.
Especially in the qualifiers going here. I think on the final day of the qualifiers, Miracle played mid every game.
He did.
And they put Weehaw mostly on Ursa in the safe lane, just some sort of run at you, strong laner, and then let Miracle play the true win condition. Here they've been consistently putting Miracle safe lane. And I think their best games have been with him on Ember. Every single one of them. Those are the easiest games they have. It's where he plays some sort of tempo and gets active around the map. So I hope we get to see that. One more honorable mention in this game, by the way. I feel like we should talk a little bit about Super, because it's kind of a cool story. He used to play mid. He's played at multiple TIs. He's had good finishes, never completely at the top, but he's been doing very well for himself. And kind of faded away almost and became the coach for this team, I believe.
Yeah.
And then at some point they were like, okay, we need a change. They bring in Super, but they don't put him on the lane that he's been playing forever with these. He's just iconic for tower pushing mids, right? He was playing Dragon Knight, DP, Pugna in like so many games. But then in this team, he plays position 5, and he's been looking great. And he has that experience that I think these younger players can really draw from.
Out of all the mid lane players in the past, he really is like the opposite of what I would consider the attitude and play style of a mid laner. Like you said, he did play the heroes that really enabled his team, really revolved around the strategy of, you know, group up and push. So it's not that surprising that he resulted in being a 5, like out of all the mid laners. Like usually the transition's either from carry or off lane to 5, because those are much more team based in regards to, like, the mid lane is its own show. Right? And so when you have cores that transition to support, but he's always been like that. So I like that what he's doing for the team. I think he kind of fell off in mechanical skill opposed to like all these new up and coming young guys. Yeah. And that's the natural transition. He's clearly a smart dude. If you're playing these team fight pushing heroes, you understand what your entire team needs from you. And now he's just doing it from the director's seat rather than the guy who's driving, you know?
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Fada. He had the same style, right?
Yeah,
in terms of mids.
Yeah,
and also goes for 5. Also goes for captain. He skipped the whole coach part, but is working out for Alliance so far. I also want to point out September as position 4. His disruptor, I think 2 days ago, was
Beyond Godlike, right?
Beyond Godlike. One of the first teams to start really abusing that disruptor. We see him banned most of the time now. He has also not been with this squad in this position for that long. Less than a month ago, there was a tournament at the last week of December or something, the Yabo Supreme Cup. They played with DDC as a position 4 rather than September. DDC is their coach here as well. Yep. I feel like he's fitting in there real well as well. Did he used to play position 4? I kind of want to say no.
I'm trying to remember because September has played, I'm pretty sure he's played more than just one role.
Yes,
but I think he's
100%.
primarily played 4. Part of me is saying 3, but he's not one of the players from China that I'm most familiar with historically, so I wouldn't give you a 100% answer on it, but I definitely feel like he's been playing other stuff.
A core role, right? Because I think I remember him as a core rather than a support. So it was a lot of fun seeing him fit into the position 4 because you can be so greedy right now as support. But it is actually Disruptor is still in the pool. We are in the draft. Nature's Prophet. We have seen that on Mind Control quite a few times. Winter Wyvern Lich has been first pick material for Nigma as well. And there's only Night Band, so Disruptor is still in the pool. Should RNG want to go for that, and they go for the IO instead.
They're the only team that's rated this hero that high. They picked it first phase, I think, 2 series before this. They play IO Tiny.
Geek Fam was kind of doing it too, by the way. They were doing
first
IO
phasing
Gyro.
IO?
Yeah, they did IO Gyro twice.
But not in the last series.
No, not
and
in
it
the
was
last,
available.
Yeah. I'm just saying that clearly the 2 of the teams that are still left in the tournament, one of them guaranteed top 3, and the other one, undefeated so far. IO clearly seems to be a staple of their strategies.
And you have to pick this hero against Nigma, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to give that away to GH. If it's a patch where IO is playable, you don't want to give it to GH.
And they deny the IO Tiny, also giving themselves a Tiny, which is perfectly fine.
I believe another combination that RNG used was the IOPL.
That was.
Doing that.
That was interesting because that's not like a traditional IO partner, but they just ramped up the pace where the PL was able to fight much earlier on in the game because he has that sustain and damage reduction coming out from the IO.
Definitely changing the pace a little bit, Nigma here, from what we've seen the last days. The Chen from Kuro, I think arguably his best hero at this point in time. He's had many different best heroes over the years, but right now that's where I feel like he shines the most on this Chen. And I'm curious about the Tiny because we see teams play it on position 1, 2, 4 in every game. I don't think we've seen it on 3.
Yeah.
Do you think for a team like Nigma that this is the hero you give to Wii so he can put some tempo, or would you rather see the Miracle carry Tiny, or maybe GH?
I would not like to see a Miracle Tiny. I think even though it's like an action hero, he's much more of these like mobile, weave in and out of fights, kind of push the limits player. So I don't think it's a Miracle hero. Maybe they'll surprise me with that one, but. The big thing for me is it's all about the matchup. So since you have absolute last pick with the Tiny, I like that because you can give him whatever lane fits for you and your strategy. And I also think this Chen Tiny has a lot to do with the fear of what we talked about with RNG, the way they've been winning games. Very strong laners, regardless of what role they're playing. So you're just kind of making sure you don't get ran over in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game, as we've been seeing so far. And Puck, not traditionally that great against Tiny, because you can just get bursted, but...
It's very good with IO.
Yes, the setup with the relocate, the fact that you have a hero that can play alone, so the IO clearly has one hero to play with. It's just a very synergistic duo that doesn't actually work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a very classic combination. We've seen IO have success with kind of any long duration catch. So Legion Commander, the duel is really long. You can relocate on that. We've seen it played with Bat Riders and the Pucks and these kinds of heroes. So absolutely. Another great example would be a support duo of the past with IO Bane, where Bane nightmares somebody in a side lane, last 6 seconds, you relocate in, everybody has time to get ready, and you go for the kill. Now, this Lifestealer ban could mean 2 things. First of all, they're banning it against the team that plays it, so you know it's a good infest play with the Puck. But the other thing is this could be a hint that they are definitely considering the Tiny core. This is one of the matchups he doesn't like so much because of Feast.
Annoying.
It's not as bad as it used to be with the new Feast, but I think later on in the game it's still problematic.
Yeah, you just don't kill Lifestealer at all, and he removes you from the fight is really what ends up happening. Yeah, it takes him forever to kill you, but if there's like a Lifestealer running at you, you just spend the entire time running, which obviously is not what any core hero wants to be doing at any stage in the game. So we even saw them pick the Lifestealer against Drow, which is traditionally a bad matchup, but he just spent the entire game running at that. So it's kind of interesting. I think Lifestealer is underrated amongst a lot of teams. I think RNG is has proven to use it very well. The way that he was raging and then infesting his teammate to save his teammate, and then coming out during the infest, or when the rage is back off cooldown. But that's why we're seeing it banned here. They are giving respect to the fact that not only does Monet play the hero well, but the team plays around the hero very well, and that's important. The PL almost tells me again that the Tiny's a core, and now you almost certainly know it's a core because the Rubik. What lane will it be? They'll most likely pick their off laner next, just because they want to hide whether or not it's a carry or a mid. Surprised they're revealing it this early. I don't know how you feel about that.
I think they're almost already set in their minds on putting this Tiny on Weeha, just because we've been talking about what we want to see from him with like the high aggression and just playing tempo. I think his Tiny is really, really good.
Yeah.
And for the most part in this tournament, the hero's been banned, so I just don't know if Nigma have had the chance to even do it. I can't remember it's been banned every game they've had, but...
They've not played it the entire tournament.
Yeah, so it was probably banned then.
Yeah. Slark is looking real scary, though, from what I see so far. Like, whenever I'm second pick, which team Nigma is this game, I'm always concerned about that 4th pick. Like, the old gotcha, you only have 1 pick to respond to this, and we have a ban to protect it as well. That's the hero I'm really concerned about. So I hope Team Nigma's next pick addresses that in some capacity, just making sure it's not also countered by the Slark. Just a really good IO partner. We've seen IO Slark be very successful since they banned out the PL Lifestealer. That's one of the first heroes that come to mind. They already have decent team fight. Oh, they're just figuring it out. Never mind, they just do that. Okay, I mean, that works too. Sometimes you're like, well, it's going to be good enough to pick 4th. Why not just pick it here? They're going to have to counter it either way.
And then you give a better game to your other hero. Yes. Like sometimes you've got to look at... I think a lot of teams in the past have fallen into this habit almost of let's make our cores, like our game-winning heroes games perfect always.
Yeah.
But if you look at like the give and take, maybe you can have a slightly worse game on your Slark, but the trade-off is that your offlaner's game is twice as good. because he will have information now for the pick. I like picking Slark here. 'cause
It's also like kind of respecting Team Nigma that they kind of see what I'm seeing when I'm looking at the draft, and they're not just going to give you the perfect fourth pick Slark. So why go for the home run Slark pick? Why not just pick it now, assuming that they already seen that? You're kind of like hoping the opponent's ignorant about the fact that Slark's a good pick for you right now, and based on a player like Kuroki being your drafter, they are just saying, yeah, okay, so they immediately pick an offlaner, I assume, that is going to be a Slark, dark pacting, piercing, disable. That's, I don't really know how else to, an undark pactable, what?
It works.
Yeah, so that's what the Enigma's doing here. A hero we really haven't seen much of at all. Generally a pretty slow hero, but with the tiny chin, kind of alleviating that weakness, I think maybe they can make use of that.
It's also a pseudo counter to Io in the sense that it's hard to relocate into fights when if Enigma has a dagger, even if you relocate outside of the fight, it's telegraphed on the map where you're going. So Enigma can actually set up and counterplay it immediately.
Yeah. How crazy is Warlock or Silencer here? What are you thinking for your support here?
Yeah, Warlock's pretty good. Winter Wyvern is a possibility.
That's banned first round.
Oh, was it banned? Okay. Yeah.
Hero that's not been banned is Venge, by the way. I don't know if it works.
Venge is pretty good.
Did I miss it? No, it actually did not get touched.
I think Venge is available, yeah. So Venge is pretty good with Puck and Io, the attack range and the stats. Getting base stats on Io is awesome. Getting that strength, it really helps. There you go.
Yep, there it is. I honestly kind of assumed Venge was banned.
Yeah, that's normally the case.
Yeah, a little too good of a hero in this case. The minute you mentioned it, I was like, oh, all my suggestions suck.
This is a really good pick, I think.
And
Shiva, you should be drafting.
Yeah.
Who's to say I'm not?
Oh. You're coaching all the teams when we're not on panel.
And hosting. That's crazy.
Multitasking,
Yeah, it's a good Venge game. There's a couple of extra good things about it, too. Obviously, whenever I see Venge in this patch, I'm looking at who uses the aura, because I think the hero, in my mind, is not good enough unless somebody either benefits really much from the base stats or from the range, the attack range. And I would say base stats, the big benefit here is the IO. And
Slark doesn't mind.
The attack range is good on Puck. And I would say Slark is like in that in-between where the stats are not incredible.